horror stories to experts and seats. I keep it chill while I peel back the heat. Truths in my tone, laid back in the zone. Outlaw vibes in a Wi-Fi home. I don't flex, I reflect and rewind. True crime tales with a mastermind. Mine from the Badlands where the wind cuts deep. I speak facts while the fake fall asleep. Clear. This is the realest, chillest vibe online. Don't hit stop, just pause in time. Like, share, sub, my good people ride. It's the real Nicknamegraz, out well on the grind. Outlaw on the grind. This is the real Nicknamegraz, Badlands soul with that podcast jazz. I don't chase trends, I just set waves. Put respect on my name like an unmarked grave. Nicknamegraz Ilana, I talk it straight from the field to the screen. This ain't clickbait, no script reads, no suits, no mask, just a mic in the past that I flip like facts. Psych style beats with a true crime feel and a voice too chill to ever not be real. They watch, they rewind, they vibe, they ride. I'm not just a host, I'm a state of mind. I don't break news, I break silence. I don't run ads, I run balance. The realest, chillest vibe online. Hit the like, show love in time. From the Badlands, outlaw on the grind. You're watching real Nicknamegraz. Now press rewind.
Hey everybody. Oh man, hope you guys are doing good. Came prepared tonight. Oh boy. Looks like there is a new documentary on the CW network. They're usually known for doing pretty good stuff, but we're going to go ahead and see what they just uploaded. Welcome, anybody on replay who's watching. If you don't have one already, you might want to make one of these. It's going to be needed. Usually, here, let me share my screen first before I get ahead of myself. That seems to happen a lot here. Okay. So, how did that... Come on now. That's not what I want. Whatever. So you look here, the CW network just uploaded this. If this stream goes dark, don't panic. I probably just got copyright struck because they just put this out a few hours ago. It says here, investigators, journalists, and first responders provide details and information about what happened throughout the case of the Delphi double murder of Richard Allen. Double murderer Richard Allen. Started, guys.
Delphi is a small rural town. We have 2 intersections that have stoplights, and it's very small, but it's a very close-knit community. Everybody knows everybody. The kind of people that live in Delphi would give you the shirt off your back. Delphi felt very safe. February 13th is my birthday. I remember coming home from school, being all excited to go birthday dinner, celebrate with my family. I didn't get to do that year. Mom sat us down on the couch and said, "Dalton, 2 of your classmates are missing."
I'm her bestie, Aunt Abby.
Abby and Libby were friends with everybody.
Hey, Geek
They
Mom,
were
welcome.
inseparable. I was in 8th grade with them.
I saw a comment in here that it said that this documentary was old, so it might be. Let's see. Unfortunately, this documentary is full of outdated information, who really cares?
If I could describe
Check it
Liberty
out.
German in one word, it would be cheerful. Never had anything bad to say about anybody. And then Abigail Williams. She was spunky, a lot of freckles.
These girls were just salt of the earth kids, you know, sweet small town America kids. Abby loved saxophone and volleyball. She loved to read. She went camping with her family. Libby loved sports. She was a scholar, standout in school, and loved to paint, loved her crafts.
I dated both Abby and Libby. Just
Hold up. He dated both Abby and Libby?
elementary school relationships.
Oh, that's the
texting back and
Snowburger.
forth. I was good friends with them both. This is
That guy.
Libby. She was a very outgoing person. She was very sweet, very kind. She had a very soft voice. Just very respectful person. It seemed like she cared more for others than she did herself.
Yeah, that's the guy. A lot of kind of idiotic people were calling him a suspect. Like he has I think his family owned Snowburger Farms or something. Everybody was all crazy. Nick Hamilton, always a pleasure, man. I'm so glad that you popped in here tonight. DJ, good to see, DJ, good to see you. Deb, from Australia, mate. Do you guys have these over there? You guys probably don't. You guys are probably just throw some crocodile skin over there. Bud Bundy, what's up, dude? How you doing? What's crack-a-lackin'?
Libby was very smart in school. She was in all AP courses.
Luis
She had dreams to become a
Cuevas.
veterinarian.
Welcome.
This is Abby. People will say she had red hair, but I like to call it a strawberry orange. She was very shy, but she could make you smile. Abby had a nice smile. She is a very beautiful person. The night before, I texted with them late into the night.
Hey, Lynn, good to see you. Lynn, do you remember seeing me over there at WFLA Live? I popped in there and I seen JD, and I was like, or JB or whatever. I was like, is that Lynn? Is she over there modding at for JB? What the hell? Anyway, I agree with you about a lot of people just care about Richard Allen. You know, who knows why? I don't even know. David, it's good to see you, my brother, my main mate. We're going to be live tomorrow. I thought it was tonight. Totally messed up my my thingy. Yeah, that was a shock. I was like, Lynn? Lynn G? MB? Really? Who would have known?
They were at Libby's grandparents' house making videos, just being silly. The next day, my phone's blown up with everybody messaging, hey, have you seen him? Hey, have you seen him?
My initial thought of what had happened was that either they had run off or they were out past curfew, just doing what kids do. It's Delphi. You don't think anything bad is happening.
February 13th, 2017, the girls were off school. They decided they wanted to go out to the trail.
Hey, have you seen him? Hey, have you seen him?
Hold on a second.
My initial thought of what had happened was that either they had run off
Sorry,
or they
guys,
were out past curfew,
rewound it too much.
just doing what kids do. It's Delphi. You don't think anything bad is happening.
February 13th, 2017, the girls were off school.
Just a quick throwing it out there. Is it just me, or does Rick Snay not fit the criteria of investigator, journalist, or first responder? Because they didn't say that they also had YouTubers in there. That's what made me want to stream it tonight, honestly. There's a lot of creators and kind of different personalities in here. What the hell, man? Pretty weird. Let's do it.
They decided they wanted to go out to the trails and walk the bridge. It's something that the kids there do. They were dropped off by Libby's older sister.
And when we got there, I told them goodbye. I told Libby I loved her. Then I left, and that was the last time I saw them.
They were told to be back at the drop-off point At 3 p.m., Libby's father showed up to pick them up.
Snay on the pay. These guys think that Snay is on the pay. Gray is on the pay. Snay is on the pay. Joe is on the way to the Memorial Ballpark to do something crazy. This world is just not what it used to be.
He was getting close to there to pick him up. He'd been calling her. She wasn't answering.
He got out and went to look for them and couldn't find them. And the families got involved. Police got involved.
The sun was setting. There was no snow, but it was cold. I remember hearing that they sent out a search party.
As the night progressed, it just continually got more worried, that something's not right here.
Now, many are on an extensive search to find them.
Very scary situation right now, and I just want her home.
Ravines, ditches, trash cans for phones, any sign of it, girls, and anything we can find.
I almost lost sense of.
That was Abby's uncle. I think this is. I don't get why people say that this is outdated information, because the crime happened a long time ago. It's like, it doesn't matter how old information is, because the truth is the truth if it's part of the timeline or part of the facts of the case. I feel like some people are just making shit up and they want the newest to be the best. But really, everything's kind of already been there. It all goes back to that tip, to Dan Doolin, too. Everything's always been there.
What reality was going on. I mean, it was hard to fathom what we were going through.
Yeah, yep.
The next day, woke up like it was any other day, got ready, and then...
Luis, you didn't hear about that? Oh, boy. Yeah. Yeah, Nick will tell you all about it. I guess Ron Logan had like a jetpack on his back, and it was like he had a wand attached, and he was going to spray chemicals or wash the... Who really knows? Rick Snay said it was Daniel Pearson. Then he said it was Ron Logan. Now he doesn't give a shit who it is. He just knows that Richard is innocent. That's all he knows now. It's pretty interesting.
And got to school. I remember it being quiet. It was dead quiet.
One of my friends, her husband was in another group that was going along on the south side of the creek. He called his wife, and then she come running out and said, "Hey, they found him. They found him." I remember looking over saying, "Are they okay?" I hadn't, and she wouldn't answer me.
Just overnight, what happened to Libby and Abby went from a local missing persons case to an international story.
I've never heard Brian Enton comment on the Delphi murders, so that's kind of interesting. He is from the he's probably covered a few cases. Is he from the Petito case? I think that's where I'm remembering his name from. The Petito, Frito Bandito, Chito.
And the media was initially caught off guard with the severity of the crime.
2 bodies were discovered around 12:15 this afternoon, just east of Delphi, not too far from where I'm standing, actually, near Deer Creek.
Guy's hairline is
when the
worse
news
than
broke
mine.
that they had found them, my immediate thought was they fell off the bridge. It was a dangerous bridge. It has rotting wood on it, not very stable. It looks rickety. I thought that it was a terrible accident.
The body's been positively identified as Abigail J. Williams, 13 of the Delphi area, and Liberty Rose Lynn German, 14 of the Delphi area. This is considered a double homicide investigation.
To me, honestly, I think that they're telling the... So far, the story has been told really good. They're starting the story to possibly people who come across this video and they haven't heard of the case yet. So they're setting it up and getting the base set. I think it's not too bad. I just get kind of nervous on where it's going.
They invited me to come hiking with them. If I had a do-over, I would have gone with them that day. I do regret not going with them, yes.
This is the picture that was used in one of the first news releases. It's Libby.
Uh-oh.
She looks full of life. Oh, this is kind of hard.
Hard? Why is this hard?
I don't know, it's different holding it in my hand and looking at it as an actual picture than through a phone or a screen.
Oh,
That's why I
man.
was okay. Like, I'm 20 now. I thought I was okay with all this.
That is so sad. Poor guy.
Police were giving out so little information in the early days, and the big question everyone had was, who did this? Was it someone passing through? Is it someone who knew the girls?
A lot of people are scared. You know, people are watching their backs, you know, locking their houses when they maybe didn't used to.
It's horrifying, and it's not the Indiana that I know. This person got to be caught.
Police weren't releasing a lot of information, but behind the scenes, the manhunt was definitely on.
When you guys first thought of this case, what did you guys? Holy schmoly. AJ, do a little dance. Thank you for gifting some memberships. That is so freaking nice of you and so good to see you. Thank you for that. I almost forgot what I was going to say. Okay, there we go. I was going to say, what did you guys all think when you very first started? Did you think he's a transient, total drifter, not from the area? Because I'm on the other side. I was like, local. He has to be. That's kind of what they said. About the crime scene area and where the girls were found. It's kind of impossible to end up in that area without being a local. You had to know, kind of. That's what I was thinking. I can't even believe it. Thank you so much, AJ. Thank you. You are the best. Now we just got to get 10 people in here.
Why Libby? Why Abby? Why Delphi? Why Carroll County? I say that because this is a classic example and a clear example that evil lives amongst us.
Shown in front of me is an enlarged depiction of a person believed to be the suspect in this case. We are actively looking for this person. We believe this person is our suspect.
Yeah.
This image was captured from her cell phone. Liberty.
Yeah, I came into the case a little late too. I mean, compared to the newer crowd on social media, I'm like what people would consider an OG, like I've been around. But when I came in, I was not an OG. There was tons of other people who have been there for years. I think I came in at the end of 2021. So that was maybe the end of 2020. It was after the pandemic, like right after it. But yeah, man, after it, it's a revolving door of people coming in and checking it. It never fails to draw attention. Unfortunately, a lot of it is negative attention, but you get happy to see people keeping the case out there. I kind of wanted to make a retraction. I said that I don't want to talk about Delphi anymore, and I really honestly don't, but after seeing what's going, I just thought about it, and I'm like, who cares? I do want to talk about it because there's just too much shit out there. I'd rather people listen to my shit than someone else's double shit, you know? I'm not that bad of a guy. At least we're talking about the case. We're not talking about, whatever the hell those other guys are talking about. Shadows and pixels and people's seventh cousin and how they were involved because their dog took a shit under the bridge in 2004. I don't know how people can watch that. David! I initially thought BG was transient, later changed mine to local or someone who had lived there. Nice, thanks for sharing that. That's right, Nick. since the first day I came in here, yeah, I remember you. Probably one of my first streams. You were always there. Same with AJ. I think same with Geek Mom. I think you three. I think Lynn. Lynn, you've been here since the beginning, right? Bud Bundy, very new, very new. Little potty mouth, but that's all right. Who cares? Who gives a crap, right?
He had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera.
If you think about it, what police department ever gets an actual image of the killer shot by the victim? No one. No one gets that.
As poor as this picture is, somebody knows. Is it a family member? Is it a neighbor? Is it an acquaintance? Is it an associate? Or maybe that one guy that lives over at that one place that just kind of not right. Somebody knows. And if you're watching, we'll find you.
Find you. How do gifted memberships work? That is absolutely awesome that happened. I'm just seeing everybody become members. Hallelujah. 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 Thank you again, AJ. Thank you.
Again, we're not going to be able to share everything with you, but we are going to share this audio clip with you. Micah, play the clip, please.
I remember the first time I heard the audio of him saying down the hill, holy crap, this is probably moments before he decided to kill him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there, Lynn. Rick Allen has the closest body type out of all the people that were named. Right? We saw chicken legs, a beer gut. I didn't necessarily know if he was short or tall. I just kind of went by. I noticed that on the FBI website or whatever, they put up and they took down a couple of times their height estimates. So I knew that was kind of up in the air, but Rick Allen was exactly who I pictured in my mind. It was the devil. He knew his way around Richard Allen. Or maybe inside. Yeah, he got right up in Rick. And Rick liked it.
Is there any specific information that says the person is local or from far away? No. Could this be a stranger crime? That's a possibility. Question over here.
We didn't know if they had any kind of suspects, if they were looking at anybody. Are we looking for a serial killer? Are we looking for, a family member? We didn't know anything.
Daniel Pearson, Ron Logan,
My motivation
the other guy.
To do what I do, you have to understand the freaking context here, okay? Comes from trying to open people's eyes to how this case developed, how law enforcement has handled it and steered it.
If you hear this today and you think, my God, that sounds like fill in the blank, call us. Make an anonymous tip. Tell us who you think it is.
The man on the bridge became known as Bridge Guy.
Julie
Police
Melvin.
asked for help in finding suspects. It started people thinking, am I living right next door to the killer and I don't even know it?
I will say I think probably I was unfair to Julie Melvin before a few times. And seeing how unfair I have been to other people, how sometimes when I acted out of character, lost my mind, said certain stuff to certain people, I've been, being forgiven makes me feel awesome, and that I should be like, wow, I shouldn't judge people so much. So yeah, I talked crap about Julie Melvin quite a bit, and I would like to say sorry. Doubt she's watching or will care, but sorry, Julie. Hope you're doing good.
I'm suspicious of everybody at this point, looking around.
Space City
The
Music.
life got sucked out of the town.
Welcome.
Everybody became cautious of everyone else. You always carried something with you as a weapon just in case. I walked with mace, pepper spray, taser, always keeping my head on a swivel.
You're kind of paranoid all the time because he could be right behind you and you wouldn't even know it.
It was like something out of 1984. People were torn apart by this. The suspicion and the paranoia once it hit the social media.
Yeah, that's when people think he's innocent. It used to make me just, really angry, but you just got to shake your head and move on, I guess. That's why there's a lot of good people out there that are covering the case. That's what I'm trying to adopt that belief is, you know what? If I don't like somebody or their belief, that doesn't mean I don't like them as a person and I shouldn't attack them. Maybe I should just not watch them. That's what I'm trying to do. Kingo Blue, it's been a minute. I'm so happy that you're back. I'm back to see you. Welcome back. Goodness gracious.
It just took off like a tsunami.
The online community started getting nasty to one another. The amount of hate I've never seen in my life.
We were definitely looking at each other and others as possible suspects.
It was a collective worst nightmare, not only for family and friends, but for the entire community. They were murdered in cold blood.
Yes, they were. David, I never heard about that one. It's so you're saying it's kind of similar to a case there in Perth, Australia for you guys. When the Claremont killer was on the loose, it took 18 years to get him. Yeah. Anything after the 48 hours probably feels like 100 years to these people, but yeah, this Delphi took about 6 years. It's kind of like the same thing. If you know off the top of your head, David, what brought an arrest 18 years later in the Claremont killer case? Was it DNA or a tip, maybe? 3 women. Yeah. Was it mass or separate homicides? Pretty nuts, man. Well, that's good that was solved.
I've known Libby's family for years. I told Libby's grandma that I was going to do whatever I can to help find the killer. I made a promise to God, to myself, kind of to these girls, I'm going to fight for you.
Hate to break it so much. That might be part of the problem, I think, is people are using this as a reason, or what I see as an excuse. I'm fighting for the girls. There's a creator I won't name who leaked the crime scene photos, and he says he leaked the crime scene photos only so he can show all of you what kind of sicko you're protecting. And I just got that kind of feeling when Julie said that I'm fighting for the girls. That's why I'm saying Richard Allen is innocent. It just doesn't make too much sense. It just doesn't really make too much sense. But hey, I'm here to watch this. I haven't watched it. I just skimmed through it and I saw a bunch of YouTubers, and we're not used to seeing that. At the trial, we would see live streams and you'd see YouTubers in the background, or a reporter would grab a conversation with a YouTuber once in a while. This is kind of strange. You got a bunch of YouTubers in this little documentary. I think it's a little off. But yeah. Fighting for herself, not the girls, yeah. Yeah.
Almost immediately, the wild speculation just went nuclear, from drug cartels to cult activity to sexting and an unwanted pregnancy. Were they strangled? Were they shot? I mean, people just couldn't fathom how two young girls out for a winter walk.
Little Joe is in here. I'm not even lying. I don't know if he said anything, but his face is in there. The part I saw with Little Joe, his guest was screaming. He was like, "If I fucking told..." You'll have to wait. I'm not going to spoil it.
Could have died in this horrible way. Speculation really ran rampant, but no one really knew.
The families were trying to keep as much information as possible from getting to the public. They didn't want people to have all the gory details of what had happened to the girls.
There was no information about cause of death. It's like this information vacuum. And then suddenly these text messages show up in this online thread. And they are from a rescue worker who was at the scene. And it turns out it was Abby's uncle, a man named David Erskine.
The David Erskine text. Do you guys remember that? Yeah, that brought up quite a bit of controversy. Feel very, very bad for Mr. Erskine. Imagine that this crime happens. You're a first responder like Mr. Erskine was, and he was one of the people to walk up onto the girls. And then you see all these Facebook groups, all these rumors, all these nasty, gory details stated as facts. All he did was send a text out to clarify information. Then that text or that message gets blasted in other Facebook groups. Now all of a sudden, everyone thinks Erskine is the killer. I can't count on 3 hands how many suspects I can just rattle off, right? Because I've heard it over the years. Everybody thinks everybody is Bridge Guy. And I couldn't agree with you more, Kanga. It took years. She says, "It boggles my mind. After all of this, Bridge Guy's revealed and convicted, but still, the circus continues." And you're totally right. The texts were spot on, too. Yep.
I think one of the first places the Erskine texts appeared was on Reddit. It went to Facebook, it went to YouTube. When these texts hit the online community, it was like light bulbs coming on and bugs just swarming. People jumped all over them. Me and my other sister's boyfriend are the ones who found the girls Tuesday. Coroner's report stated everything was over by 3:30, no rape. Abby was dressed, Libby was nude. Libby's top half was covered with leaves and sticks, almost like they were trying to cover her. The only DNA would be from Libby's fingernails. She fought like hell. Whoever did it targeted Libby for sure and knew what they were doing with Abby. It was personal with Libby.
Yeah, that's such a heavy piece of information in those texts, isn't it? Just wow. How anybody could turn those into something, against him, it's just beyond me. But what do you guys think? Like, there's a question raised, the order of which the girls went down the hill, or how Richard Allen controlled the girls going down the hill. What do you guys think? Because what made me come to my realization is these texts, actually. The way he talks about Abby and the way he talks about Libby just kind of paints a picture like he was holding Abby close to him, holding her very close and walking Abby down the hill, and then probably ended up chasing Libby after whatever happened. And I don't know exactly, but with these texts, it makes it seem like he held Abby close and it was over fast for her, but I don't know. Because there's conflicting stuff, with the time of deaths and all that. I don't want to get into it. I don't think anybody truly understands why.
There's talk of Libby being almost decapitated, which looks like it was done out of rage.
Police did not release the autopsies, the cause of death, or when exactly the girls were killed. When the Erskine Post became public knowledge, people learned how Libby and Abby were murdered for the first time and that a knife may have been used.
It made people look differently at law enforcement, like, well, why didn't you tell us all of this?
Well, it's not only because the families didn't want that sensitive information out, but that's something that only the killer would know. It's very strategic, you know. We don't have to look at law enforcement a certain way because of it. It was a strategy. They went to college for it. They got trained to do that kind of shit.
The information about what actually happened was kept very tight by law enforcement. If you
Thanks,
give out
Kinga.
a little important piece of information, it could compromise the case. Typically, the only information that's released is what might help the case. But they're not going to release information just because people want to know. There has to be a need for them to know. Local, state, and federal police had a massive challenge on their hands.
Okay. With the whole 43-second video, AJ says, after watching it, it seemed that Abby went first, and then Libby followed Richard Allen. Definitely. Could be. It was just in my head the other way around. I definitely see that. Just crazy to think about. She went first, and then if Richard Allen was last, I can see how they would run. You know, a gun is enough to control even two grown males. A lot of people, it's hard to think that he could control girls like that, but holding a gun on somebody, that's very fearful.
They had thousands of tips coming in that had to be taken, evaluated, covered, and the crime scene itself was huge. The lead agency was Carroll County, which is where the bodies were found. State police, though, were also very involved, and the FBI as well, mostly in an advisory capacity.
It wasn't long before the police started to really zero in on one person of interest among others, the man who owned the land where those girls' bodies were found. 77-year-old Ron Logan.
Ron Logan generally met the description of the man that was seen in the picture, potentially the bridge guy. And there are reports that he has been violent towards women in the past.
When I seen the picture of the bridge guy, I knew for certain that it was Ron Logan.
This is
That was his figure that I seen.
Connie. Connie Dillman. That's a funny name.
My name is Connie Dillman. I knew Ron Logan. I had a relationship with him for approximately 6 years.
This is my backyard. My backyard just happens to be bigger than most people. How many people have a murder committed at their home in their backyard?
That guy does not sound like a killer to me. I never thought Ron Logan was the guy. It just never made sense. 77 years old, really?
Yeah, there's the crime scene down there. See how the ground's much more matted down right in here? I think you're right there.
I was at my house. It was on the news when I heard it. The very day that I heard that.
And pretty much everywhere I've seen Ron Logan in videos, he's always got his pants tucked into his cowboy boots, so who cares?
Abby and Libby were murdered on his property. And I said, oh my God, he finally killed somebody.
Connie, stop it.
And I knew that he killed Abby and Libby. I knew he's capable of doing something like that. Ron's a dangerous man. He's a violent man. Ron told me that he's going to kill me.
I would never take that experience away from her. Domestic violence is such a serious thing, and it follows people for years after. I'm not trying to say that, I'm sure that Ron has probably done some horrible stuff to her, and I feel bad for her about that. And on the other side of the coin, she's feeding the Ron Logan blamers, the Richard Allen lovers. Got to be careful who you're feeding, kind of. But if she has an opportunity to tell her truth, maybe it's helping her in her healing process. Yeah, at the expense of possibly adding more bullshit, but I could go either way on that. Katie, welcome in. Glad you're here. Connie Dillman's brother is the one who turned in Becky Patty's cousin when he unalived her aunt and uncle. That sounds interesting. Never heard about that one. Barbara. No book deal now, Barbara. Exactly, King. He might be all those things. Not Bridge Guy. Just look at his boots. Bridge Guy was not styling and profiling like Ron was. He wishes. Geek Mom says, remember that dude who shopped around the Ron Logan theory? I never thought anyone would believe it based on a theory and no proof. Yeah. There was one guy who never got off Ron Logan forever. His name was like Analysis something. I forget what his name was, but he was kind of like the Harvey Carroll of Ron Logan. He was the Harvey Carroll of the Ron Logan world. Pretty interesting. Yeah. Connie.
Lucky to be sitting here talking to you.
Come on, Dillman.
I met Ron Logan at a bar.
Oh, it's not
here in
over?
Delphi. I was probably around 22, 23. I liked his smile.
See, it wasn't like a small cameo. It was like they're actually going to get into this Ron Logan stuff, I guess. Maybe CW might be a little biased then.
Talk about horses. I had horses and he had horses, and we struck up a relationship. Ron's property was right next to Monon High Bridge. He had some pasture. He had some goats and the horses. I moved in with him for a while, and it didn't really work out very well. He was controlling with me. Had to keep the house tidy and couldn't lay down on the couch. It just had to be the way he wanted it. But he wanted me there.
Just want to go back really quick. When she's talking about like how controlling Ron was, am I the only one who finds it like just a little bit comical that the B-roll in the background is her like sweeping a little bit of crumbs off the table and like throwing a blanket on the couch? That looks about as peaceful as you can be. There should be a guy raising his hand in the B-roll. Like there should be some shit in there. This guy's just enjoying his breakfast.
He was controlling with me. Had to keep the house tidy and couldn't lay down on the couch. It just had to be the way he wanted it. But he wanted me there. It goes a little bit further than me in his life. I've pretty much a sex tool.
Oh God, Connie.
Can we stop? Can we?
Yeah, we can stop.
Okay.
Can we? Jesus Christ.
I don't know where that came from.
Oh, God.
If I was Ron Logan's sex tool, I'd be fucked up too. Don't. She's allowed to do that.
When I didn't want to have sex, he forced it on me. And I was helpless. You know, I couldn't help myself. And when I did get away, he would always draw me back one day.
She kind of reminds me of like a gypsy. Not Gypsy Rose, I mean like an actual gypsy. All right, let's go ahead and bring on a guest. I think we have a guest, a little call-in action. Let me just verify. Every once in a while, you might get someone showing me their wiener. David, is this you? Let's take a look. Okay, there you are. How you doing? I know it was you. I'm just kidding. Good, man. How are you doing?
I'd be flattered if anyone else is like trying to impersonate me, but you know.
Dude, it's happened before. I feel bad when that happens.
I remember that. a few years ago.
Yeah, someone called in. I thought it was Sleuth Intuition. Then there's a little wiener. Then everybody's just going crazy. Poor Sleuth.
Yeah, I'm not going to hang around for long today because I'm going to save most of what I have to say for tomorrow when we have our live.
Yeah, man, I can't wait for tomorrow.
I'm backtracking a little bit here, but I just want to say on that lady there, right? I'm not taking away from her experience because this is like I was actually, believe it or not, as a male, I was actually on the receiving end of DV myself, which is kind of weird, but many years ago.
It's not weird. It's more common than people think, and I sympathize with you on that, man.
Oh, it's a long time ago, but it was just a weird thing because you're a guy and you kind of don't want to protect yourself as such because you know that you're bigger and stronger generally, you know, and you're gonna potentially hurt someone if you do, you know what I mean? Like, even though it be self-defense, it's kind of like it's a line that's kind of a weird line to walk, so to speak. But like with her, like her experiences might be 100% legit, right? What she's saying about Ron Logan, you know, like, okay, that might be the case. But I feel like these documentaries obviously drum this stuff up. Like they make it way more, you know, like way more dramatic than it probably was. And it's not to dismiss her, it's just to say that, like, obviously they're making a documentary and they want it to be like, oh, like, woo-woo, like, look at this.
It's very sensational, man. They're like,
that's the word I'm looking for.
If they wanted to just, you know, mention him that he was a suspect, I would understand that. But yeah, they're really pointing us at this, right? They're really trying to push it onto the audience, it seems like.
Well, I never thought it, and I was going to get into this tomorrow with you when I talk to you, but I never thought it was Ron Logan, and I still don't think so. And I find it just interesting how, like, people there's other reasons why I don't believe it's Ron Logan, but I love how people point the finger at Ron Logan and say, oh, you know, it was Ron Logan, must have been Ron Logan. But then they'll say, you know, like, you don't have any evidence against Richard Allen, supposedly. But then they'll turn around and say, but it must have been Ron Logan. And it's like, well, dude, like, you've got no evidence against Ron Logan, really. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's no, like, you're trying to say it's, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to say it's like not Richard Allen, but it categorically must be Ron Logan. And it's like, you haven't even got him in the vicinity realistically. Like, yes, you've got him on the property nearby, but you don't, I mean, that's arguable. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they'll happily put Ron Logan right in the middle of that, but then they'll say, no, it can't possibly be Richard Allen. Like, but like, I'll get into this a bit more tomorrow, but he put himself right in the middle of it, you know, like literally right in the middle of it.
Exactly,
so like,
man.
I don't get it. I won't go down that rabbit hole today because I want to save it for tomorrow. I was going to backtrack a little bit, and I don't know if anyone's interested in this. I know there's a few Aussies in here, but in a nutshell, that what Kelsey and different people were saying about, like, living in Delphi, like, after the fact, and not knowing whether it was, like, obviously someone they crossed paths with. Long story short, the Claremont serial killer. Basically, I was living in Perth at the time. Like, I'd actually moved down to Perth from the country just after those murders took place. About 3 years or so after those murders took place. And the guy was still. Tell me if you guys are interested in this. If not, I'll bring this back tomorrow or something. Or
we're interested.
Yeah. So basically, the murders happened in about 96, 97-ish. I could check the dates for you, but it was like around that period. I think it was like 95 to 97 or thereabouts. Like, it was in about a 2-year period roughly. I'll check the dates for you, but it was in that vicinity. And I moved to Perth in, I was definitely living here in 2001, and I happened to start working in the suburb where it happened. And I was catching the train to and from work from like quite a way away. And it was just really eerie. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, right. I was just kind of going with you about the train.
Oh,
You're on the train.
it was just super eerie because like I honestly, and this is firsthand kind of experience, so to speak. Like I just was like sitting on the train, like honestly, like not looking at every single person, but definitely because I knew it was a guy, or they believed it was a male that did it. I'm like sitting there, and I'm like 22-ish at the time, and I'm sitting there wondering honestly whether it's the guy sitting across from me, and like it was just not even that the guy across from me looked really dodgy. It was just a case of like, you don't know whether it's that dude over there or the guy to my right, or whether they're thinking I'm the person. You know what I mean? Like, it was really bizarre thinking that people could be looking at me thinking like I'm potentially the one that was, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, totally.
You just don't know what's going through people's heads. But to answer your question you asked before, he was arrested only in 2019. And he was arrested because basically a kimono with some DNA on it, or blood on it, I believe. Actually, sorry, it wouldn't have been blood. It would have been other DNA. I don't know what I can say on YouTube, but it was a sexual assault case, put it that way.
Okay.
They found this kimono that had been in the storage for, I don't know what year he committed that crime. I think it might have been like 95, 96, or it was like a handful of years earlier. I'll get you the dates and everything later, but it was a handful of years earlier that he committed this sexual assault in a cemetery in a nearby suburb. And they had the kimono from this, a kimono from this incident that had, semen or whatever on it. And they've gone back and like they've found this in evidence like closer to 2019 or thereabouts, and that's what kicked off him finally being brought to justice. Was they connected the DNA to a guy who, as Kanga was saying, it turned out to be a guy that worked for Telstra, which is our one of our major phone companies over here.
Okay, like AT&T for us or something like that.
Exactly. So he worked for one of the big telcos, and originally not everybody, like the authorities, the police thought that it might have been a taxi driver, because the 3 women that were unalived, I've been on TikTok way too long. They were all taken from one suburb and one stretch of highway in one suburb called Claremont, and it was sort of a clubbing / pub district. They weren't like, sex workers or anything like that. They were just, out partying and stuff like that. But they got taken, I think it was like over a 6-month period from memory. So 2 of them got taken around the same time. And then the third one got taken, I think, about 5 or 6 months later from memory. So yeah. So
I could see how they might think that was like a taxi driver or someone in that profession. How did it come out that he was from Telstra? Did something from Telstra connect him to that area?
So, some of this don't quote me on, because I've read up on it again recently, just out of interest, but I don't, may not get all the details exactly right. But what they did was they swabbed all of the taxi drivers in Claremont. They basically had taxi drivers volunteering to swab them, get swabs and stuff at the time. I believe later on the reason they worked out it was a Telstra person was because there was, I think it was like cable ties or something that were used, or something along those lines, or a wire or something that was used. It was like electrical wire that was to do with telecommunications. Anyone in the chat that knows anything specifically can correct me on that one. But it was something like that. It was like either wire from like telephone connections and so forth, and connecting boxes and whatever you call them, that kind of thing. Or it was cable ties, one of the two, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. You know what? How about, I'll do a little bit. I'll watch a few videos and stuff, and we could talk about that more tomorrow too. Kind of
Yeah,
break
for
it down
sure.
fully.
Yeah, I'd rather. No, sorry, I didn't mean to get ahead of you. I'd rather obviously be, one of my things Graz is going to appreciate. I always like to be as factual as possible. And sometimes when you're going off the bat, you may not remember every detail, or you might have learned stuff since then that you kind of like didn't necessarily remember on the spot. But definitely, let's get into it a little bit more tomorrow in amongst things. But yeah, it's just the reason I bring it up is because it was just strange how, like, obviously it was a longer period of time. It was around roughly about 18. What was it? At least 18 years. I think it was a little bit over 18 years because it was the murders finished in like 1990, late 1990s, put it that way, and he only got arrested in 2019. So it's whatever that period of time was, over 19 years. So the reason I bring that up was just simply because it was similar where obviously, luckily the Delphi case has only been, well, what's it been now, 8 years, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's coming up. It either just passed 8. I think it did. Yeah, I think that was the 8th anniversary.
I mean,
might have been 7. I don't know, something like that.
It's good that the Delphi case has come to a conclusion way before 19 years, of course. Like, you know what I mean? But it was just weird how, like, you don't really want to draw too many parallels, but it's just weird how, like, with the Claremont one, it was like took so long simply because some evidence was effectively stored away, somewhat similar to, obviously with the Delphi case, that tip sheet and stuff. And then it was sort of found later on and then connected to the person involved. And I mean, obviously a little bit different at Delphi that you don't have DNA directly through a direct connection, but yeah. Man. Anyway, I'll save everything else for tomorrow, but yeah, happy to have a chat with the Claremont stuff as well, but we don't have to sort of focus on the Claremont stuff on its own, but
yeah, we can hit a few different topics. That one sounds interesting and I'm excited for it. And
awesome.
I wanted to appreciate you sharing your experience with this case here tonight, because in the beginning of the show, you saw that schoolmate who was schoolmates with Abby and Libby, and he was talking about how, he would always have a weapon on him. And you kind of showed us, encapsulated how that feels, when you're sitting on that bus, looking over your shoulder, wondering if people are looking at you, wondering that. So you kind of added, some context to how that would feel, for people in that situation. So
and the funny thing about that is that's not being hyperbolic, you know what I mean? Like, I think you guys know that I'm pretty straightforward. Like, that's not even being like, because some people obviously like overplay stuff and go, oh, it was this, that, and the other thing because they want drama. But it's like, no, that was like 100%. Like, that was raw, and that was like just that exact experience was like, hey, like, you don't even know whether people looking at you are thinking, hey, it could be this dude sitting opposite me. You know what I mean? Like, which is amusing in hindsight. But once he was caught, I mean, I obviously didn't spend 19 years worrying about it. It was just at that point in time when I happened to be working in the suburb. But it's just like once he was caught and finally brought to court, which was only 2019 during COVID, right? Wow. It was pretty, I'd say it was eerie. It was definitely eerie, but it was also satisfying to know that, like, this has finally come to a head and someone's been caught. So anyway, we'll get into it tomorrow.
Yeah, man, I want to, again, appreciate you for calling in. Sometimes, you post a link, no one calls. So thank you for taking that leap. I know you're used to it.
Housework. Sorry, man, I didn't mean to get ahead of you. I'm going to go do some housework so I'm ready for tomorrow's live.
All right, dude. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you then. Bye.
Peace. Man, it is always really good to talk to David, one of my good friends. For those of you guys who don't know, maybe you just popped in, we're watching the Delphi documentary from the CW network. I think it might be a little older, but it just got uploaded today. Kind of just started. They're actually explaining this Ron Logan theory right now. I'm just going to catch up on a couple of your comments, please. Or comments really quick. A little before. Yeah, when Harvey did write the book, probably, the families probably didn't feel too good about that, huh? Lynn, something I didn't know is that, are you saying that Ron Logan this lady is basing her interactions off of him from 50 years ago. That's what I picked up from you. I could be wrong. Luis says, I don't know the truth, but a lot of people that are pro-defense have been very untrustworthy. And I'm seeing where that's coming from. I haven't met that many people that are pro-defense, but the people I've seen or talked to makes you wonder, because you already know what their stance is going to be when you're defending. That's just obviously bias. So let's see. Yeah, Nick is just agreeing with Luis there. What a pile of poopy they are, attempting to free a double child murderer who was found guilty by his peers. It blows my tinfoil covered mind that's why I have it on, actually. Thank God. Brains would be all over the place. I agree. You rock, David. David does rock. All right, so Lynn was saying about 50. Okay, so that was a really long time ago. Kanga says, I wonder if anybody looked at Richard Allen and wondered if he was Bridge Guy. So hard to think that nobody would, right? He worked at CVS. People walked in there all the time. They had to. I don't know. Maybe they were looking at everybody, though. Rick Allen might not have stood out to them as much as anybody else. Chris Todd, the other guy who wrote another book. Some of these, it never used to be like that. When I started covering this stuff, like 4 years ago or 5, a long time ago to me, there was no reputable people saying this nonsense. But nowadays, you got people who actually have reputations. They're making giant doofuses out of themselves. It feels like the Twilight Zone. That goes back. That's why you need one of these.
He had been working on putting a new door on the basement cellar, and I said I wanted to break it off with him. And out of the blue, he hit me over the head with the crescent wrench. And I remember taking off,
I got
running
you.
to my vehicle, and I remember falling to the ground.
I'm going to throw it on the boat.
And I was afraid he was going to hit me again. So I was able to get on my hands and knees and I crawled away. I got to my vehicle and I was able to leave, and then I felt the blood running down my face. I barely remember the drive to the doctor's office, which is only a few miles to Delphi, and had 7 staples put in my head. But I actually went to my sister's after that. I'm lucky I got out of that situation, but it took a long time.
Well, that's good, Miss Dillman. I hope this is the end of the Ron Logan story in this show. I don't know what's going on, though. Matt, welcome, my friend. I haven't seen you here before, so big old welcome. Do I watch any paranormal shows? There's a haunting documentary to go show on Discovery. Pretty scary. You know, I am, out of all my friends, all my family, I'm the biggest horror fan. I love scary movies. When it comes to paranormal stuff, I haven't always been into it, and I don't know why. Like Paranormal Activity, that kind of stuff, I just couldn't get into it. When I see Ghost Adventures, it has to be like a really good episode for me to get into it. I'm more of a, like, I watch the craziest horror movies you'd think of. A House Jack Built, Grindhouse, but there's classics. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream. I love all kinds of stuff, mainly horror. All right, let's keep going.
I remember him from the Inside Edition.
Liberty German shot this chilling image of the killer approaching the girls on a hiking trail, and she recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No one. I don't recognize the voice at all.
Wow.
Wow is right. And also, and this was a good question. I was trying to think of it. Is there anybody reputable rying the full ring or rying? Is anybody reputable that tells the full and accurate account of Delphi? What do you guys think? I think there is, but they don't cover it all the time. They might do 1 or 2 episodes about Delphi, but then they're gone because they don't want to sit there and cover it all the time. Man, if Gray Hughes only did 1 or 2 shows on it, I'd say him, but he's out of control these days, these Grays. Man. I'm trying to think. It's really hard. What do you guys think? Susan Hendricks? Is she from the Down the Hill podcast? Is that her? If it is, I think she might be good, yeah. I love Rec. That's a good one. I think there's good creators that cover Delphi. I do. I can't really think that good right now. All right, we got another guest coming in. We're just going to go ahead and take a quick pause, take this call. You're coming on. We got Jamie. How's it going, Jamie?
Give me 1 second. Let me pause you on my thing so I'm not getting an echo.
No worries. That's what it was. HLN. No problem, Jamie. Take your time. Yeah, I did like Susan Hendricks. I did. Not gonna lie. And I like people. I like Sleuth Intuition. I like Fig Solves.
Okay, I'm here.
Alrighty. How's it going tonight?
Good. I just heard what you said about Miss Susan Hendricks. I absolutely love her.
She's pretty cool. It's been a while since I heard her name.
Yeah, she sat back and she didn't play this card that Barbara McDonald played. But I digress. Have my own feelings about that one.
On Barbara?
Barbara
Barbara
McDonald was the one that was caught in the Discord with the defense daddies and their team of investigators. Actually, it was what's that guy's name? He worked for the Unraveling. I used to call him Kermit because he sounded like it. But he had basically they were hey, come into this Discord. Like she's like, I won't tell anybody about her wanting Ron Logan to be her suspect, and she didn't want anybody to know that she had a book deal in the works with Ron Logan as her suspect. So so her credibility in my book is shot to like nilch.
Okay, I do remember hearing something about that. That might have been right after I took a big break. Was it yeah, I don't remember.
Well, Barbara didn't come out until before the trial with just her genuine goodness and not and that's why I put on Twitter, don't be a Barbara, be a Susan. Like she had no skin in the game. She had no she wrote an authentic book about, her feelings and thoughts and whatnot, which Barbara didn't. Barbara had a book deal in the works to be about Ron Logan theorist, which is what some of these people like the failed attorneys, Mike Thomas, Hoffman wanted, more people to put out info of it being somebody other than Richard Allen. So of course, Barbara took the bait on that and was like, hey, I won't tell anybody. I mean, I put the screenshots out on Twitter. If you don't follow me, you should.
You guys hear that? All right. Got to follow her for the tweets. Now it is. I got a light bulb going because Barbara McDonald. I remember her from
The
when
Downhill
Crimes.
podcast,
Well, yeah,
as
she was
well as
in.
Susan.
That's. Yep, they were
And
together.
she did. She got the interviews with the clients. Right after that is when she got in cahoots with these people. I mean, I have screenshots time stamped of when what was his fucking name, this guy? He worked with the Unraveling girls.
I don't even know who the Unraveling girls are.
Well, he was predated that. He was in the case for a while beforehand. And was in the same Discord, HCC, and the other puppets were in. And what's his freaking name, this guy? I'm gonna think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Maybe you guys will know. The domain is his channel name now. He's coming out swinging against, and he's outing the bullshit. Once he woke up and was like, hey, I'm probably being played here. And these people are not legit in who they say they are. And now they'll probably come for his jugular like they did mine when I first tried to out them.
Interesting. That is really interesting.
Do you have any questions for me?
I remember that that Barbara at the end of that Keegan Kline interview, she was asking about Ron Logan, so it seemed like she did have an agenda, kind of.
She does have an agenda, and it was so sad because she is very polarizing. And you want to think that she's authentic, but she's not. She's totally not.
The absolute worst thing, in my opinion, about that is that her and Susan both got like super close with Kelsey to where like Kelsey probably knows her phone number and like text her and like ask advice. But now she's probably like super hurt by what Barbara did, what I imagine.
She probably is super hurt. And I'm sure the whole family is super hurt. Or anybody, I was super hurt when I found out that it was not just she genuinely thought that, but like it was a power play for her agenda. I was super hurt as a person that was an outsider watching this all unfold.
Yeah.
I was super hurt. Anybody should be super hurt because this is not an authentic woman that really thinks that. She just put so much work and bullshit into thinking that and wanting it to be that and wanting her book to be deal that was on the ready to be that she like fuck her. Fuck you, Barbara McDonald. I hope you're listening.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, I got another question.
She lurks all of us. She really lurks all of us.
I could be wrong, but what I recall is me and Gray Hughes were put in a Discord chat together with Tobor and a couple other people.
It was Tobor. It was Tobor that outed the screenshots of Barbara McDonald. That's the name I couldn't think of. He has since like started to come to the light and just be like, look, I might have been involved with some fucked up shit, but my intentions are in the right place. But I was wrong about a lot of shit and I'm sorry. And this is what's really going on. And he's the one that outed the screenshots with her.
That's what I was trying to ask is the story is these guys came to me and Gray because nobody was really believing it was Ron Logan at the time, and they were trying to convince me and Gray together that Ron Logan was the killer, and me and Gray
he
were
was
both like,
total Ron Logan theory at first until he started rolling with these girls from the Unraveling, and then there was HCC in the background. There was other people in the background that are like pushing to their narrative, and they're also in turn speaking with the defense team and with Barbara McDonald, but he was the one that wrote Barbara in with like, I won't tell if you won't tell, but this is what we're going to do. They're the ones that gave her the fake information to go to court TV with and all of their talking points, and he has since like, I knew there would be a whistleblower in that group I didn't know it would be him. I'm glad it's him. He totally has redeemable qualities in my book, and we should like now listen to him because he's telling the truth, because what else does he have? I mean, but the truth now, but I've seen the screenshots. I've put them on Twitter myself. I could send them to you personally. You can go to the murder sheet and read them for yourself. But that's also why they're anti-murder sheet. And the newest come-ups are what? What's her name? Andy Kopsa and these people. And guess who they're going for? The murder sheet. Guess who they're dragging every day and trying to get to not be credible? The murder sheet. It's like a whole playbook. And they've done it so many times now since you've been gone, dude, that it's like, it's predictable.
It is pretty predictable. Not going to lie.
Number
Pretty
1,
wild.
go with the murder sheet. Number 2, say Jamie's crazy and doesn't know what she's talking about. Number 3, get Bob Mata to give us more talking points so we can now go to every chat and every comment section and regurgitate. I mean, it's so like lame.
Pretty dang lame. Like, I don't even see there's not even any pieces of evidence that really show us that Ron Logan could be that guy. It just doesn't make sense, and it
At all.
never did. It never did.
And that's why so many people fig solves or, tried to put a stop to that. At first, we genuinely thought maybe these people thought that until we figured out what their motivations and agendas were, that they all have a stake in it. They're the ones that are getting the documentaries. They're the ones that are getting on Court TV. Trash, by the way, Court TV.
Yeah, I can't. That's
I watched a
what I'm
video.
saying.
Unless he dirty deletes, if you go to Bob Mata's little Defense Diaries podcast before he was a failed podcaster with his whole Gacy crap and a different platform. And then he came over to the Delphi stuff. And his first video, or maybe it's his second, he's at CrimeCon and he's interviewing, guess who he's sucking the dicketh of? But Vinnie
Sucking the
Politan and
dickus?
all these people.
Oh boy.
And then all of a sudden, everything that, when I outed them, I didn't even know that they were all in cahoots together, who was in cahoots together. I just knew that my ex-boyfriend was in that Discord and had said some shit that I overheard in my own living room that turned out in court documents. And I was like, wow, this is wild. And when I did a little investigating, that's when I found out who, basically by them trolling me under their main accounts and trying to say I'm crazy. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But everything I said turned out to be true. So there's that.
That's always good. It feels really good when you get ridiculed, but you end up being right. Yeah, very vindicating.
And guess who was all up in my Kool-Aid back then?
Who was
Sleuthy
in your Kool-Aid?
Goosey.
Oh, Sleuthy Goosey. That's
She was my
insane.
main troll. My main troll.
But wasn't she your good friend on her other account?
Oh yeah, for sure. When I was going to Kristen's show, but maybe she was sucking up to me because she was a little threatened by my intelligence. Looking back, maybe she was a little fearful that I would, dig a little deeper or actually pay attention and listen, which at that point I hadn't done. And that's why I had apologized to you.
And I appreciated
because
that.
I didn't know. I didn't know how far and how long these people have been planning it. And I'm going to put out a video next with me and my ex where, he's the one that came up with magical bullet theory. And also he says as soon as Rick Allen was arrested and he got attorneys, they got in cahoots with him immediately got in cahoots with them to cause misinformation. Oh, they called up the attorneys. They got a private investigator. They every time anybody would go live and it wasn't pushing the theory that they wanted, here would come Sleuthy Goosey and the flying monkeys to be trying to change the narrative to what they had wanted, right? And they had a couple YouTubers on board. who was ready to push the misinformation and the lies and the bullshit, because here they go. They're making money. They're getting accolades. They're getting all this shit, right? Guess how much? My channel's not even monetized, Graz.
Why not?
So there's that. Because why? I don't want to make money off of this shit. Like, it's just wrong.
I could see how people say that, but there's a lot of bad people who are making money, so I'd rather be
Because
a
I
good
make
person who
shitty
makes money.
content. I don't know how to edit. I don't know. I
Your
can
opinions
put
are
together
great. It's okay.
a
You're good.
series like you did.
No, you're doing good. And
I
just
did never want it to be that. I was in other communities beforehand. I never wanted my channel to be a Delphi channel. It was just something that I followed besides the other community that I was in. And then when I had to speak up, I had to speak up. And I did it and got attacked for it, got criticized for it, got lost friends. I'm not even a part of the sleuth crew anymore.
I've lost a lot of friends on this platform, and some of them I'll never get back. First thing I did when I came back was reach out to I don't know how many people, tried to salvage what I could. I had a different opinion back then than I do now, and life is just too short for this kind of stuff. Like, but there's stuff that's you're never gonna get back, and
Well,
I
there's people that are
understand that.
blackmailed. There's people that are like trolled. I mean, it's a horrible thing to think about what some of the other people have went through, especially when you're doing dirty deeds together. I mean, you get blackmailed and then you end up doing murder suicides.
Exactly. It always ends something horrible.
Badly.
Yeah.
And I don't know your subscribers, so I'm sorry, you guys. Like, I'm not really a bitch. I know I probably sound like one now. But I have since apologized to Graz over here. He was right, totally right. And I shouldn't have spoke out of turn.
It's okay.
Especially since that bitch is True Crime Maria. Fucking fuck her entire whole ass. I'm so pissed.
I'm going to clip that for my next video. No, I'm just kidding.
Do it up.
Was,
Cause I thought she was my friend. Like, she was one of my, when I first came to I was a little nervous coming to the Delphi sphere on YouTube because I had come in and lurked a little bit and I was like, man, these motherfuckers are crazy. Like, I just do my own thing. Like, I stayed over in my lane. And then when, some shit I got upset about and felt passionately about, I spoke up. But she was my first friend. She would shout out my videos. She would drop my channel links. And I'd always be like, I'm not worthy. I just make shitty content. Like, you don't want people watching my videos. And, I thought of her as a friend, honest to God. And then to find out she's not even a real person, but this bitch that's been giving me hell, fuck you and the horse you rode in on, lady. Yeah. That fuck.
And I think you hit it on the head earlier when, you just they're your friend and everything. It's great, but you get too close. They get uncomfortable. Not to mention she's already bipolar, borderline, whatever the hell ever.
Well, I'm borderline. I have a lot of mental illness. And I think because I've spoke up about it, it's been an easy thing for people to target me for. But I learned my lesson in another community about you get in these discords, you get in these groups, and you give them information about your true life because you're being authentic. And then next thing you know, it's being used against you.
Right.
So, that's scary.
Well, people adore people like you or me or any of these other people when we just speak how we feel and we don't try to hide stuff. Like anything in my past, my record, whatever I like or don't like, I've never hid it.
I don't even have a record. That's why I think I was the perfect person to do this shit. But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
As long as you're truthful. No, it's all good. It's all good about that. It's just
to me, I felt like I had already been doxxed and fucked with enough in another community. What are they going to do? call my sister and tell her your sister does fucked up shit on the internet. I have a twin sister. I mean, they can't call my mom. They can't call my dad. I'm disabled. You can't call my job. Call disability. I've got 10 new diagnoses since I fucked with him. So what can you do to me? There is nothing you guys can do to me to fuck with my life. Like, so go for it. I've already had my life doxed on Google Earth. I could show you a video that was made in a different community where they doxed my entire life, had my fucking house on Google Earth, everything else. And you know what? There was nothing the Delphi people could do to me. So I was in a position to where I could say, hey, this is going on and it's fucked up. And some people can't because they've done rolled around in the sheets with these people. They've done given them nuggets of truth, you know, because some people are scared to death of being doxxed. I mean, in the video I'm about to put out, you hear my ex-boyfriend saying, like, they're underneath a bridge killing little kids. What won't they do? So there's, of course, people want to be anonymous in the true crime sphere.
Exactly.
But
difference between anonymity and then using it as a weapon, you know. But I think you know that.
yeah,
That's kinda
and
what
they'll
you're saying.
totally use it as a weapon as soon as you're not their friend anymore. Or as soon as you do something to make them mad or upset their feelings, here you go, here's your business put on Front Street. And to the normal person, that's a very scary thing. A very scary thing.
Yeah, when it comes out of the blue and unpredictable, it just smacks you in the face. You're shocked. Like, that's some trauma right there.
The first time it happens, it's very traumatic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I was totally traumatized the first time it happened to me, but guess what? Nobody came and knocked at my door. Nobody did shit. And I was just like, you know, what can they really do to me? So when these people, when I outed the fact that they were working behind the scenes with the defense and Matt Hoffman and the failed sheriff and Sue Wright and all them are behind the scenes doing it up. You know, they were coming at me with their main accounts and shit. And I was like, I was scared at first, but I was like, what the fuck can y'all do? I've already, you can't do anymore to me that's already not been done. You know, so, and then they couldn't stop me. And here we are. I mean,
You're still moving forward, Jamie.
I am trying. I am trying. Only because I want, like, they, you know, like I put out a video earlier, somebody dirty deleted a comment on my channel. They were threatening me, trying to tie me to people that are I don't know any motherfucking body in Carroll County. I don't know the Patties. I don't know the prosecution. I don't know the defense team. I don't know any of them motherfuckers. I am just one person in the world, some lady talking shit on the internet from Florida that saw some shit that had a ex-boyfriend at the time that was very smart, obviously, because he was in their Discord and they took a lot of the shit he said and used it. He came up with magical bullet theory, and I'm going to prove that. But Rossi, who likes to think, you know, that, you know, the smart defense, him and Baldwin came up with that. It's not true. But, you know, I mean, they can't do anything to me. And I'm a single person. I'm alone. I'm disabled. I have my cat. I have a shitty boyfriend that sometimes I wonder about. But, you know, I mean, here I am. And I'm not going to stop talking. I'm not going to stop calling these motherfuckers out. Even if I was the only one during a time when doing it wasn't cool. Now it's cool. Now everybody's doing it. But a year ago when I was doing it, it was cutthroat. I was the only person doing it. And, you know, I went through a lot with that. You have no idea.
I feel you, Jamie. I feel you. I'm just happy you're, like I said, still moving forward, not letting it get to you. That's really good.
Same. And I really thank you for accepting my apology when I first came out. You know, I didn't know that a lot of these same people that are involved were anti-Greeno people. And I really honestly felt bad for the girl that was involved with that. And that was the only reason I ever said shit, was because, but after looking back over the years and going through everything, and, you know, some people just have redeemable qualities and some people don't, you know, and he does. He does.
people have redeemable qualities. Yep. Even people I thought didn't, or people think I didn't. We just end up being cool again. If you're open for dialogue or open-minded or warm-hearted, I think any of that's possible. But it takes two, not just one of them.
Well, I also think that this whole Delphi thing was so different. And in the beginning, a lot of people were new to YouTube and YouTube culture. And now they've learned. And I hope that you've learned that you have to be more like private with your business.
Yeah, I am definitely not getting close to people like I once was. But like I said, as
Right.
far as like my record or like any bad stuff, addiction, like I'm open book to anybody. It's the DMs is where they get you.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Jamie,
I'm actually recognizing some names in your comments section. I love so many of you. I really do. And I just wanted to be a big fan. I didn't want to be the person that's speaking out. I just wanted to be a big fan of all of you.
hey, you found your calling, and the chillers are always here for you.
Are your people called the chillers?
Certified
I
chillers.
love that.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my God, certified chillers.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. I live for it.
Would you like to join me on the rest of this video, or do you want to hop off so I can play this?
No, go ahead and play it. I'll listen. I'll watch.
Yeah, just let me know.
For
I'll
sure.
pause it if you ever want to say something.
I apologize.
No, it's
Okay,
all
let's do
good.
it up.
That's your
My
voice.
pleasure.
And I heard that voice down the hill
Can you pause this?
thousands of times.
Yeah.
It's Ron.
Okay, so this woman was gotten to by Matt Hoffman and the defense team to change her or to actually recruit her, basically, you know, to make this documentary. It came out before and after the documentary. So these are not her real feelings, guys. This is what they wanted her to say for the documentary. Okay, now go ahead.
Alrighty.
Logan saying, down the hill. And I called the tip line.
Connie came forward with the story that she told the FBI, and they were clearly interested. And there was just something
the
sketchy about
FBI.
Ron Logan. Ron was known to drive without a license in that community. You know, he was out on parole for these drunk driving offenses. On the day Libby and Abby were killed, Ron has this like very strange alibi. He says he was driving with his cousin to Lafayette, Indiana. It's about an hour round trip drive to buy tropical fish.
Ironically, this tropical fish run is claimed to have happened the exact time Abby and Libby were abducted and killed.
The problem that I have with this is that he was on probation, driving and drinking that day, so that it would be really weird if he did a false alibi if he was, you know, just at his house, but he didn't want to get a probation violation. I think people really blow that up and try to make it into more than what it is. But that's kind of known info.
So this alibi was supported by Mr. Logan's cousin. When he was questioned by investigators, he said he didn't even see Ron Logan that day. And that's what led to Ron Logan becoming a suspect.
I talked to 2 FBI agents for a good hour. I had told him about his violent tendencies and what he had done to me. I said, this is who killed Abby and Libby. This is your bridge guy.
Then why did she
And that's Ron
backtrack
Logan.
after this docu-series?
Did she say something after this?
Yeah, there was people that have come out and have talked to her and said that she was really pressured by HCC and the Wright family, Sue Wright, Dawn Wright, the failed sheriff, Matt Hoffman, the investigator, the Delphi Knot people. They all pressured this. And you got to see, you know, who owns that company that distributed this, not company, but what do they call that? When somebody does like records like a series for TV, say it's Bravo and it's The Real Housewives, a production company. Okay,
Okay.
so who promoted the production company?
I don't know.
HCC and his family members.
Well, if you know, HCC is one of those people that we apologized recently. I would
get
love
it. And
to
everything
ask
I'm
him.
saying is all me. Please do not take anything I say and attribute it to what Graz feels or thinks.
Yeah, we
He's
can't
not
go to
guilty
war
by
again.
association. I'm just saying my truth, and he sees things from a different perspective. Nobody give this man hate or show hate to him because I'm on this panel. Please do not. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. With
My
that being said,
disclaimer.
I can see how she was pressured, just generally pressured to do that because it just seems really weird.
Well, she didn't like him. He was a bad boyfriend, partner, motherfucker, and I'm sure he was. But a killer of 2 children, I mean, she was pressured to say what she said, and she has since backtracked. I think Greeno had her recorded, or somebody of her backtracking on why she did that and went on camera to say that. I mean, they all got to go and have a little mini vacay and go, travel and get their hair done and their makeup done and get to be on TV. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I hear you. Totally hear you.
The public did not know about the early investigation into Ron Logan. Everyone was focused on, paying respects to the girls, the viewing, and the funeral. My sister and I had discussed previously that maybe the killer might show up at the funeral. I was at work, but my sister discreetly
It's Julie.
and respectfully took pictures of people
Julie,
that
the
showed
biggest
up.
fame whore.
Apparently, one person on our private group on Facebook zoomed in and shared these photos. There is a picture
Apparently.
of a distant view of Libby's casket where you could see a blurred part of her head.
Me too, Geekwam.
I've heard stories about that for 5 years, and that's the first time I saw that picture on this released documentary by CW. It shows you how shitty these production companies really are. Truly.
Yeah, and who owns a lot of them? Family members of da-da-da-da. I won't even
Crazy.
say, but you can connect the dots yourself. They go all the way up to owning production companies
There
that
was
do Marvel
an
films.
uproar from the community.
I somehow get blamed for, the quote is,
Being a
taking
fame whore.
pictures of dead girls in their caskets.
Give me one word to
Yeah,
describe
people
Julie
told me it
Melton.
was Julie who did that, but I guess not.
You're a despicable human
It was
being.
Julie.
That's for certain.
It was being done for her.
Did not post the photos.
At her
I
direction.
did not take the photos,
I don't
and I would
I don't know. I've heard so
never,
many different
ever
stories.
do such a thing.
But look at who's got
The
to last
online
this
community
long.
came after me in a terrible
Julie,
way and said
we're still talking
the most
about her.
horrible things. She deserves to die. I was told not to go out of my house. I was going to get my head cut off. I got a
She's
2-year
lying.
restraining
She's
order
making that
against
up.
someone.
I don't think
a
anybody
YouTuber
ever
that just
said that to her.
Wouldn't leave me alone.
Show the receipts, Julie Melvin.
I, on my channel, unfortunately, said Julie Melvin posted this picture because it was
Oh,
being
that must be
said
where
to
I heard
me
it.
from people that I believed would not lie.
Well, his credibility is like
Later on,
less
it come
like
to find out
negative.
it wasn't Julie
He's got
Melvin.
negative
Gonna read
credibility.
his for
That's
you.
not good.
I regret ever having participated. It's a symptom of the larger Delphi community mind rot, so to speak.
You've dishonored 2 families, basically. But that's okay. Let's see. What else?
And we're all
They found the biggest
blaming
fame
each
whore
other
that wanted to
and
make
having
the
a big
other
food
shit
fight
happen.
online. And we were just too caught up in all of that to realize they were looking seriously
That
at Ron
you
Logan in the beginning.
Have no credibility.
Yeah, me too.
Period.
Yeah, it's always the main story has always been that Julie did that. Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's kind of strange.
Yeah,
Well,
but doesn't it sound good when you go on a documentary and I've gotten
On
death
March
threats.
17th,
No,
Yeah.
people like me
2017,
have gotten
the
death threats.
FBI executed a search.
I mean, she might have. I mean, but that doesn't really. Everybody's getting death
Yeah,
threats
death threats
nowadays.
from what? Her other troll accounts that she was creating buzz with. I mean, half these people have like 10 other accounts. I mean, so I don't buy it for 1 second. People like me were hurt. People like you were hurt. Other people were hurt. They weren't Julie Melvin. I promise.
Warrant at the property of Ron Logan. The cell phone tower data actually shows Ron Logan's phone pinging on or near his property at the time that he says he was elsewhere.
A judge signed off on the FBI's probable cause affidavit, and that triggered a search of Ron Logan's home.
Is this whole
and that
fucking
was
thing
proof
about Ron
positive
Logan? I thought there was
that
gonna be a
they
lot.
considered
much.
him a prime suspect.
This is when this
The
was to
search
prop
at Ron
up
Logan's property turned up
Barbara
nothing. However,
McDonald
this
on
was a
Court
month
TV.
after the murder.
It was right before some major event happened to create buzz for the whole Ron Logan theory, because that's the train that Barbara McDonald was going to make money off of. And also, Rick Snay was doing a Ron Logan Did It video as well, but he also had other POIs that he was doubled down on. He's doubled down on anything that gets him attention. They're all fame whores. I mean, basically. But I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even know if Rick believes what he's either really dumb or just really cruel. One of the two. I don't know which one.
Sometimes
So if
when
there
you
was
do
any
drugs
evidence
for a
there,
long
no
time, you
longer
just have no
existed.
soul.
When Logan was brought before a judge,
If you get a
media
tinfoil
interest was
hat,
high.
it really lowers the effects. But
What happened in
Right.
court today is not related to those two
Hey,
murders.
puppet.
Instead, Ronald Logan pleaded guilty to being a habitual traffic violator. He also admitted to violating his parole. Now, weeks ago, police searched Logan's house and vehicles that have not connected him to the murders.
Ron Logan pled guilty to violating his parole on the previous drunk driving conviction, and he was then sentenced to 4 years behind bars.
oh yeah, remember Rick Snay was best friends with fucking Tony Klein? Did you remember that?
Yeah, isn't that odd? And guess who paid for them to go on a little vacation together on a certain little place that is known to have pedophiles? The Wright family.
Come on, Jamie. I'm gonna get killed over here.
I know, but do you want to do the right thing or the wrong thing, bro?
Well,
I mean,
I haven't
I'm
seen
over
proof.
here freaking. You
No.
haven't?
No.
How have you not? Okay.
Well, I haven't looked into it about their vacation or anything.
Well, you should. You should. I mean, I'm not just talking shit for no reason. I mean, I'm not putting my ass in the lion's mouth for no reason. I mean, this is some shit that has made me wonder, like, what the fuck? Like, it's what keeps me speaking out, like, holy shit, but we're supposed to believe that fucking Richard Allen is innocent, and because why? Because you guys own production companies and you're all lawyers and attorneys and can provide private investigators and failed sheriffs and all things. Like, fuck all that. Like, I'm just gonna speak my truth, and Graz does not. I'm not speaking for Graz. Graz is his own person. Please do not send hate Graz's way because I'm up here talking shit. I'm just some lady on the internet.
I know it does.
Sorry,
it
go
does
ahead.
still. Responsibility does still fall on me partially. I'm not saying I don't believe you either. Please don't think I'm saying that I'm dismissing
I
you or
hope you
anything.
don't
I
believe
just
me.
haven't looked into it. That's all.
But I
that's
won't
all I'm
write a
saying.
book one day to make money off of what I was right about. I'll tell you that.
No, and I wouldn't quite. And I already know your character. I know you're a good person. I'm just saying. That's all I was saying, really.
I will
For
feel
years,
bad.
Seems
Oh, go ahead.
I will feel bad if you get shunned or you get kicked from groups or whatever, because I am like the
It's not. I'm not in any groups or
Um,
anything. It's just that I just rebuilt my relationship with him, and it's just kind of.
and
If
I
I
hope
haven't
it's
seen it,
genuine. He's my cousin. I looked at my family tree.
that shit is nuts. Yeah, if that's your
That's my
cousin, I guess you
cousin.
got
He's
a
my
right to
family
do
member.
whatever the hell you want. It's family.
ACC, you better love me, goddammit, or give me money. One of the two.
Jesus
Pay me. Yeah, they
Christ.
should have paid me off to shut me up before they fucked with me, honestly. They should have been like, okay. But they thought their paid trolls were better than me. They should have paid me off because I'd have shut the entire fuck up. But no, I'm just kidding. I would still speak up.
You're so funny.
But I
You
can.
know what? I'm glad he called in. You never know what you're gonna get, really.
I
It's
mean,
pretty
at all, but
excessive if you think about it.
I do
I mean,
love your
driving
chat, and
while
please don't get mad at
intoxicated
me,
without
chat.
a license.
Thanks.
Because at this
We
point,
love you too.
it seems they
Poor
really
old
don't have
Uncle
anything
Ronnie.
that ties him to the murders.
I think they didn't have enough to charge Ron for murder.
My Uncle
I'm
Ronnie.
so glad that he was in jail because for sure they was putting the pieces of the puzzle together to get him.
I'm so glad Pig made that video of him at the dump.
That was a good one.
Leave my
It's
uncle.
really
Leave
odd.
my Uncle Ronnie
They had
alone.
their eye on Ron Logan, but the bottom line is
Poor Uncle
they
Ron.
never let this out to the public.
Oh, shut up, paid simp. I'm sorry to say it out loud.
We're now 5 months past the murders, and the police have honestly started to move on from Ron Logan, and they're considering other suspects.
They have no real proof whatsoever that he was connected to the crime. I feel like both of the families felt like it was a waste of time to investigate Ron Logan.
The
Because they know
police,
Ronnie didn't do
they're not
it.
looking at a couple of leads. They're not even looking
He
at
didn't
hundreds
do
of
it.
leads. They're looking at tens of thousands of leads. And then in the summer of 2017, the police drop a sketch of the suspect.
Mm,
Some people believe they saw a bridge guy and contributed to the sketch, but
Lord.
none of them reported seeing what happened to Libby and Abby.
When the first sketch came out, to me, it looked like
Daniel
a
Pearson.
casting call for an
Right.
old gangster movie, right down to the old cap.
Come on, Rick.
It looked like
Shut
a lot
up.
of different people. You could make it look like anybody. I saw someone
But they
put
were all
George
being
Washington
fed information
up
from
with
Mark
that sketch, and it
Cohen,
looks like it could fit.
Daniel Forsman, God rest his soul, and other people to parrot this information.
Yeah, I know Rick got his from Doug Rice on Reddit, like as far as Daniel Pearson goes, and then his other POIs. I'm
God
kind of
rest his
uncertain.
soul on that too.
Yeah, he was a great sleuther. Wasn't
Bitterbeat
he? You're
poet.
familiar?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
cool.
totally a dope ass motherfucker.
Man, yeah, definitely was.
Yeah, back in the day,
R.I.P..
like I remember the beginning. I didn't follow you guys on YouTube, okay? I was following from Reddit. And then I came over when Kristen created a channel and he was calling her Kristen behind the refrigerator. Like that'll show you what kind of person this motherfucker is.
I'm sorry.
You
but that was
know,
kind of funny, but that's my
it
bad.
really it upset me because I don't know. I roll for the women and the girls. Like I hate to see any person, like especially a woman, be treated poorly. You know, call it like my trauma shit, but you know, like I've always stood up for the women, and that's how I ended up being like, fuck you, Graz.
No, I got you. And I think me and you probably had similar things in our life because I was always super progressive. I would consider myself a feminist. And then the sleuthy goosey true crime Maria stuff happens. It fucks with my
And
psyche.
yeah, the only video I did was like, fuck you, he's talking shit on True Crime Maria. And I felt bad after the fact, and I did cock block Greeno from a lot of shit. I didn't know that my voice would be so listened to, or even to this day, I'm finding out that I have fans, that I have supporters. I didn't know I had supporters. I'm just some lady talking shit on the internet that's not even monetized. So I didn't even think I had the support that I had until now. I'm starting to realize that I've been Susan Hendricks subscribed to my channel. Michael Osbrook has subscribed to me, you know, and I could show proof. I could show receipts of that like really quick, like
And
right off the
people
jump.
like maybe a lot of it is, you know, they just your voice. people admire it, and maybe some people also want to have a voice, but they either can't or they choose not to. So they see someone like you, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's what I would have said," or something like that.
Or I was thinking, and I just
Yeah.
didn't want to be the only one, and I had to be the only one first, which cost me a lot. I mean, I literally, like Graz, I tried to commit suicide a year ago over this shit, and I had to prove it and come out with, like, I literally tried to kill myself, and it's like, it sucks that I had to put that out there, and say, hey, listen, your fucking followers are cult like fucking bullies to Rick Snay with Kay or whoever the fuck that chick is. She's probably a puppet or a, what do they call that, sock account, troll account
something like that
of somebody else. But like, I was being kicked very hard when I was down. I mean, I was in a 8-year relationship with a guy that was helping with the defense team. I was rehabbing an injury and looking at a third surgery on my arm, which was the injury that I had. You can go back on my channel and look at my videos, but I was in a very bad way. And I had lost my mom, who helped me during the Delphi case, who had helped me recover from my last surgery. And I was in a really fucking bad way. And when these sons of bitches, when I was trying to out this shit, I didn't think it was going to come back as hard on me as it did, because I didn't know who the fuck was involved. And so when I have like main accounts of people dragging me and talking shit to me and saying the worst things possible, I didn't know that that was going to happen when I fucking outed the shit.
It
But I
even
didn't want to
happens if
stop.
you don't out any. It'll.
Yeah, I didn't
If
know
someone
though,
gets jealous,
Graz.
that's all it is. Anything is enough to these types of people.
And I'm not here to make anybody jealous. I'm not here to steal your internet D. I'm not here to ride any internet D. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm just speaking my truth, and I'm not trying to make anybody jealous, the women, the men, whoever, like, because I'm not going to hook up with you at all. I don't do online relationships anymore, ever again. But it really fucks with me. Like, I literally was in a mental institution and had to be in there for a little bit to come back to myself, because of all the bullying that I got when I first came out with this shit of what I knew, and nobody's going to talk about that. They're going to Darvo. They're going to, oh, but we were the ones that were bullied and attacked and blah, 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 blah. But I know what the truth is. And if you go to my channel, I mean, you can backtrack what the truth is. Back before I was even a Delphi channel. I'm sorry,
just
I got off point.
It's okay. We love your shares. I feel good hearing you sharing, because I've been through similar stuff. When I was in the midst of all this shit, when I hit my rock bottom, I relapsed on stream. I've had to go back
God.
to I've had to go back to this drug clinic.
What do
and get
you
on
mean by
Suboxone.
relapse? Oh, back on some. Oh, you went to the opiates again.
Yeah, but my relapse was I drank a
No.
lot on stream, and I called a lot of people the C word. It was horrible, but
Oh, see you next
it's
Tuesday.
better now. Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah, see, I've done that too. I recently, I just had to do another stent for a suicide attempt, like, honest to God, like a week ago. I had to delete the videos off my channel. They kill mentally ill people in my town, though. Y'all don't understand. When I go live from my channel, it's not because I want attention, but like 2 years ago, there was a lady in my town. She was my age. She was off her medication, right? And then, like, her mama said, hey, my daughter's off her medication. So normally what would transpire after that would be a stint to the hospital, where they would then like put her into the mental facility. I've done this a couple of times now. I'm kind of OG about it. But like, the nurse called the police on her. The police put her in jail. She woke up dead the next day. Didn't wake up dead. She was dead. Okay, so 2 weeks later, this guy, he's all mentally ill. He's on W Street. He's talking to Jesus and all the things on the side of the road. He's not getting into traffic. and there's a viral video from my town where they're ramming his head into a cop car till he dies.
Jeez.
So yeah. So after that, I'm gonna be scared as fuck as being a single female alone with no husband, no dad, no person to stick up for me or my, hey, don't fuck with my daughter type of shit. So anytime the cops or the fucking shit gets involved, I get scared that they're gonna hurt me. Cause I am mentally ill. Like I've been like I'll tell you, I'm diagnosed PTSD, borderline personality disorder. I had a really shitty childhood with a fucking mom that was a piece of crap. And yeah, I've got issues, but I'm the first one that will tell you that I have issues. But I'm going to speak up for the rest of you that have issues and I always say this on my channel, 2 things can be true at once. I can be crazy, but I can also be right.
That's true. That's true. 2 things could be true at once. And no matter what you say, you're telling your truth, and I appreciate that. No matter what it is. I think that first
And I've not
responders
made
should
money doing it. I just had my lights cut off and had to go fucking beg, borrow, and steal basically to get my lights turned back on, because I get paid 1 time a month. I barely ever go to my community for help, especially since my Delphi shit kicked off. When I was in the drama community, I would get help all the time. I would be like, listen, bitches, hey girl, hey, I need fucking. But when it comes to this case and these children, it makes it hard for me to say, hey, I need shit, so I don't. And I struggle just these people that are super chatting to you. And this is what I've said before too, to other people that wanted to call me crazy bitches and call me shit. Well, you know what? Half the people in your chat are like me, have PTSD like me, or have other problems like me. And you're saying, fuck them because, you're saying the same shit to me, like that's why I have a hard time. Like, I don't like to, monetize or get the super chats or get the whatever. Like it's hard for me, but that's on me. You put a lot of fucking thought and goddamn editing into your videos, Graz. Bitch, you ask for money all day, okay? Like, I want to super chat your ass. But because I can't afford to, don't like drop me as a friend. Sleuth intuition.
No.
I digress.
Would never. I think it's different for a lot of people, but for me, all of that stuff you just said, it just boils down to honesty. People can lie and be pieces of crap, or people can be
Authenticity, yeah.
honest, and there you go. They're an honest person. To me, an honest person is a safe person, because even if they're trying to kill you, you know it. So hey,
Right. Well, I just feel like I just like authentic people that are like me, that relate to me, that struggle like me, and um some people they just don't think that way. They're all like it's a facade, and I'm so real. And I think that all of the subscribers, because I've gotten shamed before by not having, like, I only have 5,000 subscribers, and I'm not monetized, by the way. And it just, like, I've been shamed before, like, about my subscriber count or not being or whatever. And I'm just like, you know what? But I'm fucking real as fuck. I don't care that you're calling me crazy and that your 10,000 puppet sock accounts and troll accounts will come to my channel and tell me how fucked up I am. I need straight jackets. I'll get those 2 comments like, you're authentic as fuck. And I love you for that. And those are the people that I'm here for. I'm doing this for y'all. So that way, that you're not crazy if you think the way that I do, because you know what? I've got some really important people that watch my shit and I ain't making money off of it. So what does that tell y'all? Yes, y'all do it up. Super chat it up for my boy.
yeah,
Graz over here. Because his editing skill, he's got mad editing skills. Like, I watch that. And so okay, can we just talk about the Captain Howdy for a second and the shit that you did?
Sure.
Like,
yeah. And Geek Mom,
That
honestly,
was
thank you so much for
such
that.
an
Thank you.
authentic fucking, what do I say? Like, tasteful, non-triggering, um, like I was
Thank you.
triggered as fuck a week before that,
Me too.
watching some of the shit that I was seeing come out, and like real tears because like I said, I did a video on him 3 months before that, calling his fucking ass out,
Yeah.
and seeing that mask slip and calling him on it, and then like getting in the comments like, bitch, I'll fight it up. Like, you're not gonna out narcissist me. I'm level 100 narcissist. Every ex-boyfriend I've had, my mom, my sister, like, you're not gonna out narcissist me, bitch. So you might as well just stop typing. Is basically how I felt when I would respond to Captain Howdy's comments to me. Like, you're not gonna, like, I'm not gonna be fooled by you, bro. I mean, but at the same time, I had also was a subscriber and watched it, but the way that you did that was so tasteful and non-triggering, and I can't even like like, what are the words that I can say to make other people understand, like, this is what you want to watch, not the other
Non-triggering
shit.
was an awesome word to use because I never heard that, and it feels good that someone thinks that, because to make a murder-suicide series and have it not be triggering is really a huge compliment, and
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
because the
glad.
whole family aspect and the whole like community aspect, like, I was not triggered at all. I actually enjoyed it, and thought, my whole time I'm thinking, what a tasteful series. Like, this isn't triggering. This isn't, I'm propping this person up and I'm fading into it. It was so appropriate for what had happened. It was very appropriate. And I was not triggered at all. And I was triggered as fuck. Like, I was ready to go ham on some motherfuckers
Yeah,
when
right? Yeah.
and I was ready to go ham on you. That's why I watched it. I wasn't even a fan of yours. I was like, let me cuss him out again. And now
Yeah.
here I am apologizing and saying how tasteful you are. Like, who knew?
I
But that's
appreciate
what did
that.
me in. I was like, okay, wow. Like, that was totally well done. Don't ever take it down. His family members aren't going to be, or hers are not going to be triggered by that, as far as like them sitting there like, oh, here's another here's another Captain Howdy simp.
Right. Yeah.
And I was impressed. I was totally impressed.
Thank you so much, Jamie. It was tough, but I felt kind of obligated in a way because I butted heads with him. I had some, just like you calling him out and having problems with him. I had problems with him before too, but
Yeah, but I
you
think
see the
mine
mask
hit.
slipping.
I think mine hit the jugular. And I really like, I was really upset about it and felt really like guilty
No, you don't have
and
to feel guilty about
embarrassed.
that. There's no reason to.
I know, like, I shouldn't ever, because of what he did. That has nothing to do with me. But, like, what if he was being blackmailed by some of these people and, like, she knew
No.
things?
Yeah, she didn't. She wasn't. It's okay. It's okay. He hid everything, and the stuff he didn't hide that we saw every once in a while, it finally made sense in the end.
Yeah, but I figured it out, and I'm just a person, and I just pegged him. And I was like, wait a second, he is not. And nobody told me that. Like, I've been on my own, Graz. Like, I've never been in the discords before. Well, I've been put into them and not engaged, or I've dropped out, or I've changed accounts. Like, I was just me on my own. And there was some about that dude, and I wanted to like him, and I did for a long time. But when the evidence was going toward Richard Allen and he wouldn't do videos on that, he had first started doing videos parroting the shit that people were being told to parrot, because it was like they all come out saying the same shit at the same time. So we knew there was a leak between the Discord onto the YouTube streets, and it was like the same channels parroting the same goddamn shit. And he was one of them at first, until I said, hey, what the fuck? Because this wasn't my first Captain Howdy video 3 months ago. I did one, I think it was like 6 months ago. And then when I seen him drunk on this channel, like, if HTC's ever dox anybody, I will dox myself, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, wait a second. He's hurt people. Then he did the Jamie Hicks video. Fuck you, Jamie Hicks. You're a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. And went off on me. And I'm like, wait, were you Captain Howdy? I thought that was your homeboy. Like, he was ride or die for him. You was all 10 toes in, all vouch for him, whatever. Where you at? And I called him on his shit.
To be honest, what did you call him out on? Because was it just being associated with HCC, or was there more than that?
There was more than that, but it got deleted. He had went on a couple of panels when I first came out to say there was a group of people working with the defense. He was sent out to basically dispel that and use his credibility over mine, I feel like. And that guy, Dutch, they call him Dutch Frank, was like, hey, and he had made some connections, and he was like spittle drunk, shaking his fist. If he ever did that, I would blah, 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 blah. And, it turned out that there was a group working with the defense, and his boy HCC doxes people under his troll accounts, and has done the most, and then had the video about me. And I'm like, oh, he's such a good human being, that you would vouch for him to even dox your own self. But like, he did a video on me on Mother's Day, cursing me the fuck out, calling me a whore, telling me I need medication, more of it. And he sounded so unhinged. So I did a video, hey, if that makes you sound sane and me sound crazy, like, and then I played the video. Have you not seen that? Should I send it to you? The unhinged video HCC did on Mother's Day on me.
I've seen it.
It's wild, right? I mean, the punishment didn't fit the crime.
Yeah, I didn't see the captain like being on the defense team or anything, so I was worried. I was wondering
but
what
he's
it was
friends
all
with
about.
them, and HCC's last name is Wright. Well, who sued Carroll County and lost? Sue Wright, right? I've already connected Dawn Wright, who goes by Dawn Toretti. They all own Facebook groups and Reddits connected to this case. And they're all Wright family members. He was so pissed that people were saying Sue Wright was James Leon Wright, aka HCC's mom, that he was sent out to use his credibility to say that's not true, but he knew it was true. Just like Dawn Wright. She goes by Dawn Toretti. I've already connected the dots. They're related.
Yeah, I never looked down that rabbit hole, but looks like you
Well,
have.
don't if you want to make money, because if you don't look down that rabbit hole, they'll be under all their stock accounts, and they'll be super chatting you, and they'll be doing it up. And a lot of people won't look down that rabbit hole because they like making money, because who doesn't?
Well, for me, it's more of the last time my channel fell. I had almost 10,000 subs, and the whole reason it fell was guilt of association and trolling.
Do you want to be a success? Is that because, like, I don't give a shit. I've got.
To me, I think you could be successful without doing that. Are you saying that if I don't go down a rabbit hole, that I think I won't be successful? Like neither of those would make me successful or not successful.
Well,
I
as
think it
long as
depends.
privately you know what's up, whether you say it or not, privately you know what's up, you know. But don't steer your subscribers into the direction of Richard Allen is innocent just because it's gonna make you money. You
Yeah,
know,
that's not
that's how
good.
I feel. You know, like if you want to play neutral card, play neutral card. Sleuth Intuition did a great job of that. You know, I mean, he did it up that way. But and I respect that because, like, you know, it's hard to, I mean, you put a lot of thought, work, effort into your content. Of course, like make your coins, babes, but don't go like full cult and be like on, you know, other people's platforms, like trying to sway people one way. Don't be doing the dirty deeds. Don't be doing, that's basically what I'm saying. Don't be doing the dirty deeds. Just
I see
like,
what you're saying. Yeah,
but see,
there's
you know,
people like
he
that.
got drunk and was doing the dirty deeds. Like, in my opinion, Captain got shit faced and they were pressuring him, go out and say, hey, dispel these rumors. And then, okay, when the rumors turned out to be true, I was even more pissed. I was like, here he is, like defending more shit that he's totally fucking that I have receipts for that, you know, are true. And he did that and he knows what's true. I was even more pissed because it's like, dude, don't use your credibility and your entire platform to dispel rumors that they're making you do that when you know you're wrong and you're going to double down on it and know you're wrong when you know that I have no skin in the game and I'm just one person in this world trying to tell the truth.
Gotcha. Hear you
So
loud and
don't come
clear there.
attacking me, Graz, talking about Jamie's crazy. Should have, you know, as long as we, you know, I don't care what you believe, even if you want to believe them. I don't care. I don't care. I know how it is. YouTube politics are a bitch. I get it.
Yeah.
You know, but don't come attack me or send your people to attack me if I'm on a platform and I'm speaking my truth from the receipts that I've collected and I know. Like, that's what really hurt me. And it hurt me that I really liked the captain. Howdy. I really fucking did. And I hate it, but you know, when I listen to and I see the shit that his kinfolk like have said, it's like, no, we seen a mask. We didn't know the real him. Now Dutch Frank got his mask to slip, and that's when I caught him. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? Fuck you. And that's why I went for him. The only reason I went for you was because I was being pressured by the same ladies, you know, and then I stopped when I felt like I was being pressured to keep putting out that content about how bad Greeno sucks and all the things. I literally stopped, and you can go back to my channel and see that, you know, and
Gotcha.
I stopped, you know. So there's that.
Gotcha.
I'm
So
sorry.
it's okay. It's just it's hitting the 2-hour mark, and I'm only like 10 minutes in. 30, but
Oh
it's a
my
long one.
gosh.
So
Okay, I
I'm
will be quiet. I'll drop off so you can finish. But peace and love to you all. You
peace
know,
and love.
everything I say, it's all from me. It's not from Graz. Me and Graz don't talk behind the scenes. We're not related. We don't share DNA. We don't fucking have a Discord together. So don't hold him accountable for anything that has come out of my mouth. Please don't. You
I
know,
appreciate that, Jamie.
super chat it up. You guys, please like support him, super chat him. He needs his coins too, like we all do. But peace and love, y'all. Bye.
See you, Jamie. It's a really good call in. And you never know what you're gonna get. And I liked that call. It was a good one. Oh boy. Let's see here. We are gonna get started back where we left off. And on the replay, or if you scroll back through the live chat, if you like Jamie Hicks, go ahead and hit that link. Go to her channel and check out her stuff. So we got a little bit out of topic, but that's all right. Not too bad. Did you say Medicine Man? Where's Medicine Man? Medicine Man is the best man. Okay, let's go, guys. We are back. We are back.
It was a witch hunt on steroids.
Can't fucking do this anymore. Tinfoil was biting into my damn head.
My name is Angela Sidlaski. I am a licensed clinical social worker and a victim advocate. I look at how unsolved homicide cases can impact a community.
Thank you, Nick, for the super chat, too. Thank you,
I have
AJ. Thank you,
been
Geek
getting
Mom.
to know the people of Delphi very intimately, but Delphi has always been a good old boy community where we don't talk about our problems. We kind of sweep them under the rug, and I think that these murders exposed a lot of that kind of underbelly. I think that's where some of the suspicion and paranoia started.
It seemed for a while like if you had ever broken the law in Indiana, particularly Carroll County, you could possibly be bridge guy.
There was hope at the first anniversary press conference that they maybe found the killer of Libby and Abby.
Very uncomfortable feeling. We're a year today. There's this notion that this is cold. It's not cold. This is not going to be cold. Over 30,000 tips. Those tips continue to come in. We'll continue to work them the very, very best that we can. If you're watching this and you're responsible, today may be your day. It might be tomorrow, but I can guarantee you your day's coming.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you all very much.
Looking back at that first year of what the police did, there was a lot of criticism that not enough was being done to find the killer.
It's another thing that I don't get. I think the person who brought it up was Fig Solves. If through the course of the investigation we lose surveillance footage, you lose some interviews, there might be some corruption here or there, it doesn't have anything to do with the murder. Like, it could in some instances, but in this instance it doesn't. Like, people who say that Ron Logan or that Richard Allen is innocent, they just say because of corruption. And that doesn't quite make sense to me. And Jamie, no apology necessary. That was a great call, and I had a great time with you.
A lot of people started saying, hey, it's up to us.
People were definitely paranoid about the fact that law enforcement had no person of interest.
It went from the pretense of caring about what happened to the girls and caring about getting justice into the public, going off on their own, trying to turn vigilante.
People continued to turn in their exes, their neighbors, the guy down the street, and it seemed like there was a real momentum that they had the green light to turn in anyone and everyone.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's completely fine, right? It is completely fine to turn in everybody. It's the public aspect of it that's not okay, I think.
As months turned into years, members of Libby and Abby's family appeared on the local media to express their frustration with the murder investigation.
I worry about him getting somebody else's child and destroying another family.
How do we not know this guy? It just seems so hard to believe that nobody seems to know, and we haven't gotten any answers yet.
The case kind of
I feel
snowballed
so
into
bad
this
for those moms.
social media battlefield. And somewhere throughout that process, the girls got lost. You had like a 6-figure reward process.
Which one is she? Is she from the, is Angela Soldowski? Is that from the Delphi Knot, or is that from that's R&M, isn't it? Yeah, I think so.
The girls got lost. You had like a 6-figure reward, for the killer.
I want to focus on
The fact that we've gotten tips, we keep getting tips.
Okay, thanks, Luis. Yeah.
The reward is still there.
R&M.
I think it's around 225,000. So the reward is still there.
When you put that reward money out there, it was kind of like a drop of blood in a pool of sharks. Suddenly, everybody is interested. There was actually a guy that made a whole YouTube channel about his dad being the bridge guy.
Libby German got my father walking across the bridge before he brutally murdered them. Out.
I remember that guy. You guys remember Sean Harmon? Oh, man. It's been a minute. I had a good relationship with Sean Harmon. For as sick as he was, he seemed to me like a good person. You would catch some of his live streams, and you would see needles in the background. I think he shot up in one of his live streams. That was something I really related to, and I really felt bad for him, honestly. But besides that, he was kind of a whack job. But two things could be right at once.
In them woods. I would not joke about that on here.
There's no way the cops could be following up on every single thing that they're hearing. When they had gone a while with nothing to show, the police would put on a press conference.
We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. We are also releasing video recovered from Libby's phone. The video shows a suspect walking on the bridge. Watch the person's mannerisms as they walk. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know?
The Indiana State Police released audio of one word, guys,
Yes, Anthony.
to be paired with the previously released
Sean
Down the
Dale.
Hill and a 2-second video clip of the suspect.
When they only gave us the one word and the new video was really just a loop, I was just totally flabbergasted.
For a journalist covering the story, the audio clips and the video clips, they seem to raise more questions than answers. But it was the final reveal in the news conference that honestly was the most puzzling.
During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls.
And I
Holy shit, it's Ron Logan. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even, that's all I wanted to say.
was like, huh? I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. Nothing like the first sketch.
Authorities said this was a replacement for the old sketch, noting that this was an entirely new suspect. This bridge guy is a man in his 20s or 30s. The first bridge guy sketch was a man in his 40s or 50s.
We believe this person might appear younger than his true age.
As a person who's built cases, prosecuted cases, and put people in jail, this doesn't make sense.
We will not.
I've never heard this be said anywhere, but it just popped into my head. Where they say this man could appear younger than his real age. What did that mean to you guys? What would be the reason that he would say that? To me, just in my head, I was thinking, well, the witnesses saw the same guy, but some of them said he was young, some of them said he was old. Maybe they always along might have thought that there was only one guy, but they just had different eyewitness accounts. That could be why at trial we only hear from a couple. Actually, I didn't read all the trial transcripts, so I don't know. But you would think there would be a lot more word that got out about each of the witnesses, because there was only a couple that I remember, that I know of. Could just be covering their butts. Geek Mom says, I always wonder how they knew that his hair looked. Yeah, one of them, the short and curly for the young guy, and then even the old guy has a little, looks like he has curls coming out of his little bowling cap. Bowler
Stop.
cap.
Both of these sketches can't be right.
When the second sketch came out, and it looked nothing like the first one, I remember thinking immediately, the Carroll County Sheriff's Department has no clue what they're doing.
In order to keep things straight, people renamed the initial sketch Old Bridge Guy and called the new sketch Young Bridge Guy. Investigators were now searching for younger suspects, and the media had a field day covering the public reaction to the new sketch.
Last week, investigators released a new sketch of the man they say is the suspect in the murders. Since it went public, people across the country have been playing internet detective by finding people and creating side-by-side images of their face with the Delphi suspect sketch.
That's when the police came out and said, hey, tap the brakes. Don't do anything on your own. Don't put up these side-by-side images.
Why is Rick the one explaining this when he's doing everything? He did everything that he's telling everybody not to do. This is irking my gherkin.
Just send us your tips.
The sheriff's office wants people to think twice before posting these comparisons.
But it seemed to me like they were kind of doing the same thing, because anytime they, had a slight suspicion at all about someone, it'd be on the news.
And who's doing this at CW? Do they know this? Do they know this guy? They couldn't have picked. Sean Harmon would have been better in this position than Rick, I think. Almost anybody.
Tonight at 11, investigators in Delphi now looking at a man accused of heinous crimes in Tippecanoe County. They want to see if this guy is responsible.
An accused predator, James Chadwell. He is reportedly being investigated for possible links to the slayings.
State police say Daniel Nations is a person of interest in the Delphi murders. Nations does have a criminal history in Indiana.
Law enforcement was crossing off individuals who would fit the mold of this killer. So sex offenders, violent offenders, even killers from out of Delphi, out of Indiana. And it smacked of desperation.
Okay, so the YouTubers that they picked to do this are the YouTubers who think that Ron Logan did it. And then the one guy, Rick, who thinks that everybody else did it also. Why didn't they get somebody who doesn't have negative 3,000 credibility? Anthony says, when I met Rick, he definitely had a different opinion about the case. He was cool to me, even though we disagreed. Yeah. Geek Mom says Nations was the only named suspect that I wondered about, but then they ruled him out. That was the first suspect that I actually thought of. Yeah. It's long gone now, but my very first video was 20 Delphi theories or something. And I had speculated that maybe somebody who knew Daniel Nations did it or something like that. Because at Daniel Nations, he was in a different town in Indiana at a different site where there was a bridge. He was flashing himself. I guess he had a hatchet. And then it was his mom or one of his family members was killed and covered up with branches and twigs, if I remember correctly. If there was ever a suspect that made me turn my head, it was Daniel Nations. Was Gray Hughes in this documentary? We'll find out together, Silas. I haven't seen yet. I know that little Joe makes an appearance.
There should be plenty of DNA. There should be plenty of prints, but for whatever reason, it is not at their disposal. They are not using the evidence to lead them to the perpetrator. The crime scene, from what I am to understand, there weren't proper protocols that were followed.
Though our official sources weren't willing to appear on television, officials formerly with the investigations do say that the crime scene was compromised. They say volunteers walked all over it, contaminating the crime scene before the police could protect it. It is also alleged that evidence was lost and mishandled before it could be registered at the lab because of the inexperience of the investigators. Fingerprints and DNA are often inadmissible if they aren't collected properly. One former member of the task force told us point blank, "We got the training after the murders."
If in fact the crime scene and the evidence in this case were mishandled, the carousel of suspects makes more sense. If you don't have reliable forensic evidence, it's very hard to make a case. And you may have to look at suspects that have committed similar crimes in the past.
From my understanding, the way that they are pursuing this case is entirely contingent upon somebody confessing. That is their plan.
When Carroll County Prosecutor Robert Ives was on Channel 59, despite all the evidence they'd collected at the crime scene, it actually seemed like he was hoping for an immaculate confession.
The most likely thing is, and this is a terrible thing to hope for, is that some other crime would be solved and the person, as has sometimes happened in the past, the person would say, "Oh, I committed this crime at Delphi also."
I highly recommend watching. I think it's Robert Ives was on, I think 2 or 3 programs, but the Down the Hill podcast with Robert Ives was so good. I can't remember if he was on the Scene of the Crime podcast. I think he was, and that was also really good. Robert Ives, kind of like Carter in the sense that he speaks in riddles, the non-secularities and all that. Man. Let's see. Kanga says that would explain why Richard Allen's DNA was found, or wasn't found. They got their training afterwards. And it was an outdoor crime scene spanning more than a mile. Geek Mom says, one guy in this documentary was banned from the trial. Great instincts for the producers. Great instincts. Just, you guys couldn't have picked a better actor.
We had all but given up hope until there was breaking news on WTHR 13.
And we begin tonight at 11 with some new hope for the town of Delphi and the families of Abby Williams and Libby German. State police are now looking for information about a social media profile with the name Anthony Schatz. They want to know if you or your kids interacted with that account. Today, we've learned they've identified the man behind that profile as Keegan Klein.
God, this was the second biggest. This is the biggest POI that I looked at, saying it was the second time I really zeroed in on one, like Daniel Nations. I was really, really on the Kleins for like the whole time until Richard Allen was arrested. Really made sense to me. This Anthony Schatz account had planned to meet the girls that day at the bridge. But then you go back to the beginning of the documentary, Max Snowberger, their classmates, he was asked if they can go to the bridge. I bet the girls just asked all of their friends to go there because they wanted to have a good time. If you catfish Anthony Schatz, why not just tell him yes? Same thing as telling him no. Anthony Schatz ain't showing up. It's going to be this fucking guy. Yeah, just what the hell, man? And Kenga makes a great point. Even though Keegan Klein ended up not being involved, everything took off from that point after years of nothing. And they connected a lot of other sex crimes, which, imagine how much abuse that avoided in the future for all the minors in Indiana, because they weren't just asking for Delphi. They were asking for specific towns and cities in Indiana. It was everywhere. That Dropbox of his apparently set up the biggest child porn investigation in Indiana history, so that's good. Anthony says, me too, Graz, the Klein connection. I think he has some involvement luring the girls there, or his accounts did. I would still be open to it. I'm also okay with believing that it was a lone wolf, Richard Allen. But if more information came out, I would never be one to shut anything out. Especially this bastard.
Predator, posing as an attractive young man, was contacting young girls. And one of the girls that he contacted before she died was Libby German.
In December of 2021, police and the media make a big announcement, and that is that they've been able to link a guy named Kagan Klein, 26 years old, from Peru, Indiana, to the online profile of Anthony Schatz, the profile that's been soliciting young girls and getting nude photos.
Investigators say he was in social media contact with one of the girls the night before she died.
The police had this lead from the very beginning of the investigation. Anthony Schatz was on Libby's phone found at the crime scene. Police were really using people like Julie Melvin and Kelly Brown. They were trying to extract information in any way they could and build their case.
Do you guys remember? How did they get a picture together? That's kind of like Superman and Batman getting a picture together.
Anthony Schatz was on Libby's phone found at the crime scene. Police were really using people.
Yeah. I apologize to Julie earlier. The Kelly Brown thing is completely different. She was talking to Kagan Klein, like sexting him and like kissing his ass. What a lucky guy. God.
People like Julie Melvin and Kelly Brown. They were trying to extract information in any way they could and build their case.
Keegan Klein was waiting a trial on child pornography charges prior to his name being announced in relationship to this case. Law enforcement knew about Keegan Klein and his business in catfishing kids in 2017. Police raided his Peru, Indiana home. They would have taken his computers, cell phones, storage devices, any kind of electronics that might hold evidence of that crime.
Kagan Klein has been in jail facing 30 charges of child exploitation, child pornography, obstruction of justice, and identity deception.
It's not difficult to believe that the girls may have been set up. Maybe they went there to meet Anthony Schatz and another predator was there.
It wasn't like Libby was totally naive. I feel somehow that this Anthony Schatz made her feel comfortable, that she let her guard down.
Two innocent girls who just happened upon a monster is something that everybody can feel very passionate about because it's horrific.
Totally.
When the information about Kagan Klein was made public, he immediately became the subject on social media.
So this is what he looks like in jail now, which is like
There's Grizzly.
horrendous. Oh my word, he just gives me the creeps, doesn't he?
He's a scumbag. He's scum of the earth level.
Stephanie?
And he needs to never see the light of day again.
We knew that Kagan was in jail and thought if Kelly just talks with him and gets to know him, perhaps we might be able to glean some information about this case.
I wanted him to confess that he had a part in the murders. He needed friends. He needed a support system. He needed somebody to talk to. I exploited his vulnerabilities in jail.
My name's Kelly Brown, and now I'm all shy because, like, I know you see me with my wet hair. I feel bad for you because you would think by now something would have happened.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
She feels bad for him. Thank you, I appreciate it.
I catfished the catfisher.
Hi there. Hi.
I think this was all in retrospect for her. I remember exactly when this happened. I think she, in retrospect, thinks she catfished the catfisher. I think she was always one of those types, you know.
Hey, I just came in from the pool.
Oh, that's cool.
So sexy.
Do I know you?
A middle-aged woman might not have been that tempting for a man jailed on child solicitation charges, but that did not stop Kelly Brown. Her drive to solve Libby and Abby's murders was so great, she befriended Keegan Kline, a known child predator.
I sent you like $20.
Oh, yeah?
I'm trying to get information. I pumped up his ego. I knew that I was onto something when he first saw me. I got him on the hook, for sure.
I know you from the news. I feel bad for you because you would think by now something would have happened. I mean,
Yeah.
Kagan, I know.
Yeah, it's terrible. Put me on the news and everything. It's terrible.
Despite the fact that Keegan Kline admitted he'd had interactions with Libby, he denied that he killed these two little girls in a series of jailhouse interviews that he had with the press.
They're abducted and later found dead.
Right.
And that was not you.
No, 100% not.
Tell me about Anthony Shots. Why did you create that profile?
Yeah, there's Barbara McDonald's there. I don't know if they're going to show it. They probably are going to use it to segue into more Ron Logan stuff, but I always thought it was his dad, not him necessarily. He's really fat.
I don't really know. I was just lonely, you know what I mean? Just talking to people. I don't know why I did it, really.
My name's Jerome Kern. My nickname is Jeep. I'm friends with Kagan's father.
Hey,
I was
Jeep.
incredulous.
Is that Jeep? Hold on a second. This has got to be some kind of a mistake. Sorry to stop this thing real quick. I'm just looking for something. Dude, I swear I had emails back and forth from somebody named Jeep that claimed. I'll look for it later. That's pretty interesting.
To know that somebody I'd met and, my friend's son was involved in something so awful. But when Kagan was in jail, he would solicit people for money in exchange for an interview.
If I put that $20 on there, does that mean it kind of goes to just the phone calls and stuff?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Unless it was put on the commissary. I haven't checked my box or anything.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know what to do.
I think Kelly and her friends overstepped. I don't think they had any business pretending to be friends with Kagan to try and get information.
See, I'm moving it like, look, there's me and my camera, there's me.
The rumors were that Kelly was sending him explicit photos, showing certain things on video.
Dude, what we're seeing right now is explicit enough. This is Look at that arm.
I put you down for a moment. I thought it would be fun for you to see me at the pool.
I was accused of being Kagan's girlfriend, sexting him, doing live nude shows. That did not happen. I did nothing inappropriate with Keegan Kline at all.
Except
the
for
Kelly Browns of the world.
a few
I
things.
think that's the spirit of the whole thing, is to be an investigator, a sleuth, find the truth. It disgusts me because this is about, two girls that got murdered. And I think people forget that sometimes and they get caught up in all the fluff of this case. But I don't see a bone in Kagan that would want to kill somebody. So I just don't see how anybody could put him as involved in this thing.
Kagan would talk about finding Libby annoying, but never suggested that he was involved in the murders. After everything that I went through, it's hard to believe Kagan killed Libby and Abby. I am just a component in this massive thing that is Delphi. My work was used in Kagan's sentencing.
This evening, a Miami County judge sentenced Kagan Klein to 43 years in prison in a child solicitation case.
Now remember, Klein has never been charged in the Delphi case, but he did plead guilty in a separate child solicitation investigation.
For, a long time, a couple years. And the case was in a standstill. There was nobody else to point at.
Law enforcement needed an arrest in a way that you cannot possibly understand. When a case, especially a double murder, goes on for so long unsolved, we start to wonder who's benefiting from this. Certainly not the families of the victims.
It had been almost 3.5 years since a big proper press conference in this case, and suddenly they announced the first arrest.
Every now and then I'll see a video from the trails. If you OGs from the channel remember our friend Amber. Amber went down to the trails and she did a garden, and she did a rock garden too around a regular garden, put some angels and rocks, and she painted these pretty rocks. And sometimes I still see them in videos. So thoughtful of her to do that.
Police have arrested and jailed 50-year-old Richard Allen in connection with the double murder.
Since everyone was still so focused on Kagan Klein, it was a bit of a shock that suddenly we're talking about a suspect that no one had ever heard of.
In a case like this, you hear all these names, and then suddenly a name comes up that nobody's ever heard before. I don't think anybody expected that.
The arrest made in the shocking Delphi murders of 2 girls that has stunned the small community. Police have arrested and jailed 50-year-old Richard Allen in connection with the double murder.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you!
I believe in a God.
At least JLR was on the right page. And that's a first.
God of justice and righteousness. Today, I believe that same God has provided us with justice for Abby and Libby.
I am proud to report to you the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
When Richard Allen was arrested, the freaks and everybody that watches my channel were just so excited.
Okay, does anybody else think that was a Chinese guy? Or is it just me? That's what I thought first time. I'm not racist. Some people might think I am. I'm definitely not. It looks kind of Chinese without his glasses. I seriously didn't know who that was until I heard his little voice. How much of gray are they going to use for this documentary? Like 2 seconds? Let's get the full scoop there.
The arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
When Richard Allen was arrested, the freaks and everybody that watches my channel were just so excited, so happy for the family to finally get some answers.
When I heard the news of Richard Allen, I said, please, Lord, give these girls justice and give these families peace and let this community heal.
Finally, an arrest after more than 5 years of investigating. And of all the suspects already, like Ron Logan, who's the owner of the land where the girls were found, and then Kagan Klein, who was convicted of child exploitation and who catfished Libby, who is this supposed murderer? A portly middle-aged dad who works at a CVS?
When Allen was arrested, I was absolutely shocked. Everybody was still very invested in the Keegan Klein thing online. Nobody had ever heard of Richard Allen at that point.
Do you think that some people feel like Richard Allen being found so late insults their intelligence? These people seem offended that they didn't sleuth out the killer before everyone else. To me, and a lot of people I know, we've heard it from it, we were expecting something like this. Expecting that unexpected thing to happen. I don't know why they're talking like that. That's a good question, David. When you're on national TV and you refer to some people as freaks, sounds kind of culty.
Neighbors told us Richard Allen grew up here in the small town of Mexico, just about 30 miles from Delphi.
He was a normal, everyday family. There was nothing out of the ordinary about him.
If you were to ask someone what their perception of Rick Allen was prior to the arrest, the answers would be funny sometimes, very helpful, quite unremarkable as a suspect.
We encourage everybody to continue to call in tips, not only about Richard Allen, but about any other person that you may have.
The public thought presumably they had their man, and yet they were still looking for more information, still asking the public for help. It still seemed like the case was open.
I don't know what my purpose is now. Before it was to keep the word out there and keep the search on. I guess now our purpose is to remind the public that the police are still asking for tips.
We cannot talk about the evidence that's in the probable cause or the evidence that's in the charging information.
They keep a case like this open for several reasons. One, the possibility of other suspects. Two, they want to avoid public scrutiny. Three, they believe their case may be weak and needs to be made stronger.
Everybody wants to know more information. I understand it's frustrating, but my goal is to maintain the integrity of this case.
In 6 years, Richard Allen could have told a number of people what he did too. And that would be a guilty person for not coming forward. To me, that's what it seems like. Keeping their options, like you said, keeping their options open for more suspects. And just, we finally got this guy. Now will we get more tips? We're going to show you Richard Allen. Now that you know who it is, maybe now you remember something.
I was very annoyed with the fact that they decided to arrest somebody in Richard Allen, and they didn't feel like they had an obligation to explain why.
Mr. Allen has had his initial hearing. He's in a preliminary plea of not guilty. He is presumed innocent. We have probable cause established by the court for his arrest, and he is in custody. He's being held currently without bond.
Family members of Abby Williams and Libby German were at that same press conference too.
It was a
Be right back,
kind of bittersweet. You know, it's I just know that there's another job, another hill for us to climb ahead of us, but we're up for the challenge. We're going to keep after it. We're not going to stop.
It took another month for the arrest affidavit to be unsealed, and among many revelations was a stunning detail. Allen had actually gone to police in 2017, shortly after the murders, before information on Bridge Guy was released. Richard Allen was a witness who came forward and told police, hey, I was on the trail that day, I was on the bridge, I don't know anything, but I want to just let you know that I was there.
Investigators said that they had misfiled Allen's statement, only to find him and the statement suspicious years later. Allen's defense really had to get over the fact that he admitted he was there walking the bridge on the day that the girls were murdered. And let's be frank, he looked like Bridge Guy.
All right.
According to the affidavit, Allen admitted to wearing a blue jacket and blue jeans that matched the description of the suspect. Then again, he was wearing one of the most generic outfits in Indiana, a blue Carhartt jacket and blue jeans. This could be highly damaging circumstantial evidence, especially if he didn't realize that Libby German had caught him on camera. He'd think nothing of placing himself on the bridge.
October of 2022, we're talking more than 5 years later, He's been arrested. He's been to court. His house has been searched. All of this happened before anybody heard about it.
If anybody is in Carroll County, man, get down to the courthouse and find out who this son of a bitch is.
I remember. Do you guys remember that Rick Snay held up a picture of the wrong guy? He was like, "Look, it's Richard Allen." Totally just like another guy. Is it the CW or Crime Nation, News Nation? This has just got to be one of the worst documentaries I've ever seen.
Thinking, here we go again. We have another guy, he'll be gone in 2 weeks. I lost faith that the killer would ever be caught. I never thought it would happen.
How could we not know this guy? How did nobody place him when he was there at the bridge all the time?
Multiple sightings of Bridge Guy by witnesses are consistent with Allen placing himself at the scene. Allen claims he was walking the trail, walking the bridge, watching the fish down below, and checking his stocks on his phone.
While the case against Richard Allen is mostly circumstantial, the
If he was checking his stocks on his phone too, why can't they have his phone from that time? He saved all of his phones except for that one that he was using that day. There's so much pieces of information and evidence. It's totally weird to blame other people.
investigators say there is one piece of evidence that ties him to the murders. They found an unspent .40 caliber round near the girls' bodies.
I think so too. The best parts are the mini interviews with the locals. Some of the law enforcement too, but sheesh. Yeah. His phone never pinged out there, did it? Well, what phone? He didn't have the phone. It would have pinged if you would have gave it to him. I guess he was missing that phone.
Investigators were able to match that bullet to a 6-hour handgun found in Allen's home. Allen had told investigators that he never let anyone handle his gun, and he was the only one that had access to it. Now, this is good investigation here. This is a skilled interviewer not leaving an opening. They want to lock him into this gun.
Gray, imagine all the shit that Gray was telling him. Gray was probably just telling him all kinds of crazy shit. Like, they're stupid. He's stupid. This is what happened. He probably talked to him for 3 hours. And then he gets like 5 seconds. And Rick gets like 5 minutes.
In addition to the SIG .40 caliber, other guns and knives were found in Allen's home. At this point, the circumstantial pieces are all fitting together.
Knives are important here because in the search warrant affidavit, for the first time, it was officially revealed that their injuries were caused by a sharp object. There's no mention of DNA in the affidavit, so the bullet could be the best piece of forensic evidence that the state presents. The case is based largely on circumstantial evidence and eyewitness accounts that place Allen or someone that looks like him at the scene.
Podcasters are sleuthing and they are finding people from Richard Allen's past that worked with him in his past careers and things like that.
This literally is Richard Allen, as we call him, Little Dicky.
And they are not finding the kind of information that is satisfactory to them in terms of this Richard Allen to be the killer.
He does not have any criminal record. He only had traffic offenses, a seatbelt violation in 2003, and 2 speeding tickets, 2005 and 2011.
They're coming up with things like, this one time he was working cash register and he farted and he didn't apologize.
That sounds
like things like that, and they're like, "Oh my God, isn't that awful?"
See, these guys, when you're just minimizing, just like that other girl from R&M earlier. She said, "Yeah, everybody, nobody talked about Richard. badly at all. This guy's saying that such a minimization. Yeah, he farted once and didn't apologize. This is the exact type of behavior that people do when they say, hey, Ron Logan's guilty, it's corrupt. Like, there's no, I don't even know what you call that. Whatever strategy that they're using, it doesn't make sense to me. I think that people have to be a little bit dumb or a little bit cruel. Why else would you do that? I can't get it through my head.
And it's just like, come on, man. It does not add up.
It's just hard to believe. He's a heck of a nice guy.
Very quickly, that turned into
I'm
he's
sure Silas.
a monster.
For sure.
Look at his eyes and look at his face. You can tell by his eyes that he's a killer. The public needed Rick Allen to be a monster.
On
That's the
Friday,
same
the
story
first
that I
arrest was
heard.
made in connection to the Delphi murders. 50-year-old Richard Allen, Libby's sister, tweeting, "Today is the day."
I was excited that there was an arrest. It seemed like they had a pretty strong case.
A lot of people were like, case closed. There it is.
The state pretty much came out and said, hey, we've got the goods on this guy. We've arrested him, but they kept all of the details secret. And how the public and the press in that moment tolerated this is really beyond me.
It's because that's what a trial is for. What is it really the public's right to know everything, all the information about somebody before they get proven guilty or innocent? That doesn't make sense. How does it not make sense to this guy? After the trial, see, just like now, we're getting all these documents, a whole bunch of them. All the exhibits are coming out because the trial's over. God damn. Just getting flashbacks.
But a month after Richard Allen's arrest, the authorities did something really out of character. Under the guise of transparency, they made their appeal directly to the public.
And developing this morning, an Indiana judge has unsealed more than 100 documents related to the Delphi murders case. And in those documents, investigators reveal Richard Allen reportedly confessed to killing 14-year-old Libby German and 13-year-old Abby Williams several times, at least 5 times, during reported prison phone calls to his wife and also his mom.
Hey,
I believe the case is a slam dunk for Richard Allen. I think it's absolutely shows that he did. The circumstantial evidence points right to him. On my show, and I'm able to put things together before the analysis of the case. Mapping is a huge part. And Richard Allen says he was there from 1:30 to 3:30. There's a vehicle driving by the Hoosier Harvest Store camera that looks just like Richard Allen's vehicle.
Gray has a whole different demeanor in person. Like a whole different demeanor. His face is different. The way he's sitting, his hand gestures. I swear to God. When he's behind his computer, he's a hard-ass jerk. And then he comes here and he's like, totally just so cool, man. You make me sick, Gray Hughes. Gray Hughes.
And that's at 1:27. Richard Allen said he was there at 1:30, which matches that. He immediately said he walked to the Freedom Bridge, whereupon he passes 3 girls. And those 3 girls
My ears.
had varying descriptions of him, but he admits seeing them and they saw him. A little bit later, a woman who's on the Monon High Bridge sees Richard Allen at about 1:55. So then that lady turns around, and while walking back, Abby and Libby had just been dropped off, and she passes Abby and Libby. The next person they're going to see is Richard Allen. I think then Richard Allen walked back a little bit, let them get onto the bridge, because that's the trap. And then he starts making his move. They see him coming, and they try to get off. Libby gets off the end of the bridge. Abby gets behind her. She's filming already. And that's Richard Allen in the video, 100%.
Pretty
That is
Little Lights,
exactly
welcome.
how Richard Allen described himself, wearing blue jeans, the blue Carhartt jacket, the hood up with a cap over his head.
According to the 2022 probable cause affidavit released on Richard Allen, another
You can take
interesting
the cotton out
fact
of
is
your ears.
revealed. On the video recovered from Libby's phone, one of the girls utters the word gun. It was said before the girls were coaxed down the hill.
A gun. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Because most people couldn't understand, why wouldn't Abby and Libby have just run? But bring a gun into the picture, and of course, they would be ordered down the hill.
The state's case doesn't seem to have DNA, fingerprints, or other forensics to make their case. As far as we know, Richard Allen's .40 caliber pistol that was seized by police when they searched his home is the only tangible evidence that ties him to the crime scene.
Forensic examination did show that the bullet found at the crime scene had ejection marks on it and could have come from the gun found in Richard Allen's home. It's almost like a fingerprint, not quite as strong, but pretty close. And the only reason the suspect would have racked the weapon was for intimidation. It makes the effect, you know, he's getting ready to shoot.
That bullet is a problem. The prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Allen's gun made those ejection marks on the bullet. Allen's defense claims the science just isn't there.
Richard Allen was brought from the Westville Correctional Facility, a state prison, shackled at the waist and ankles, for a hearing that lasted all of 10 minutes.
I was sitting in the courtroom awaiting Richard Allen to come in for his first hearing. The entire courtroom was silent, but here's this small stature of a man. He's my height.
Poor Richard.
I'm 5'4". Libby and Abby were 5'4". And I'm looking, and I know he was arrested, and I know they have circumstantial evidence, but in my mind, I'm saying, no, this isn't the right guy.
Because he's short and stature and weak? Why? That's exactly look at how many serial killers are weak. They're all weak. They're all so you can just look at somebody and you could tell that they're innocent or guilty. Is that what I'm picking up? That's got to be what do you call it? I don't know. I don't know the right word, so I'm just going to say dumb. Forget what the word I was looking for.
Our client's the wrong guy. We want things unsealed, but that's how confident we are in our client. That's how confident we are that the evidence is nothing for us to worry about.
Absolutely believe that the information is accurate, that Richard Allen confessed.
Didn't hear that,
I believe Richard
David.
Allen is Bridge Guy.
The defense has to overcome the fact that the prosecutors have released to the public that there is a confession and that the prosecutors are really trying the case in public at this point, despite the fact they haven't actually released the confession. But the defense feels that they're pretty confident that Allen's innocent.
This was a problem. We had no information about even the content of these confessions, yet the community continued to speculate and draw conclusions.
Prosecutors say Richard Allen confessed up to a half dozen times. I have seen cases fall apart based on false confessions.
The prosecution says they can't release a transcript of the confessions because of the gag order by the courts. So who asked for the gag order? The prosecution. So it does give one reason to be skeptical about those confessions.
If crime scene protocols are not properly followed forensically, the prosecution needs somebody to confess on their own.
Confessing something horrible that you have done to somebody that you care about
means one of two things. It either means you are under some duress to confess to something that you didn't do, or you are so overwhelmed with remorse and guilt.
This is a lot of what did it for me right here. Did you hear what she just said? I'm sure you guys are very competent. I'm just talking to people who might not know. You only confess for two reasons. There's not a third reason. There's two reasons. It's because you did it, or because somebody made you do it. There's for sure confessions made. So the defense had to find a way around that. The defense is thinking, what can we say about his confessions? We can either say that he did it because he did it, or that he was coerced, he was forced to do it. That's the only reason that the Odinism thing came into play. The only reason. If there was no confessions, there would be no Odinism defense. I promise you that. I can guarantee my life on that. They had to explain his confessions. A lot of people don't really take that into account, I don't think.
And you are seeking some kind of reassurance, some kind of support from the people that matter to you the most. But I think there are too many unanswered questions about this confession. And I think until we have the answers to those questions, we do not know why this confession occurred or how valid it is.
I would say that there's a lot of reason to believe that they are railroading Rick Allen. Eyewitness accounts, false confessions, it's all just hearsay statements. It's speculation as far as I'm concerned. Pseudoscience with the bullet. I mean, it is insulting to your intelligence the way that.
I called it. See? That's an ego-driven nerd. It's an insult to his intelligence that law enforcement caught a man, took him to trial, and found him guilty. What an insult to his intelligence. How dare they? How dare they insult that guy right there? That's unacceptable.
That the case is presented, law enforcement is super tight-lipped and seems to have ulterior motives.
Is that Tobar?
The fix is in
I hope
for
not.
Richard
Who
Allen.
is Tobar?
They vilified him in such a way that he doesn't really have a chance.
I believe that the prosecution kind of needs this to go away. And so it would certainly benefit them if something were to happen to Rick. When Rick walked into his hearing in June, he looked like somebody who was terminally ill. What are they doing to him in there?
Oh, well, that's good he switched. Because he really
a wild new twist update
didn't
in the
look
case.
good here.
Richard Allen's attorneys insist their client is innocent.
Social media lit up when the defense dropped what's called a Frank's motion. And that basically was a motion to suppress any evidence that they actually obtained after the arrest. The defense said the arrest was problematic, nothing afterwards should be fair game. And really, they started to point to discovery, suggesting that maybe somebody else was responsible for these murders.
If those lawyers are telling the truth in their court filing, well, this story just went nuts. They say that it wasn't this guy. They say it was a ritualistic cult that killed those girls.
The defense is suggesting that Abby and Libby were killed by a group of Odinists, which is a Norse cult that has ties to white supremacy. They purportedly practice animal sacrifices and even human sacrifices as a ritual. And the defense says that this was likely a ritualistic killing because of the way the bodies were found.
Tree branches were placed on the body in such a way to supposedly represent Norse symbols, a calling card for the killer or killers. This information had the effect the defense desired. It created doubt about whether Richard Allen was involved in the murders.
I didn't know what to think. I don't want to form an opinion now before the trial starts.
The defense wants people to buy into elements that will subsequently cast doubt on the prosecution. There are elements in here that, if true, would change the way I would perceive the case. But the onus cult sounds like something right out of a movie.
This is a common legal maneuver.
To be fair, almost every murder sounds like right out of a movie because it's so horrible. But damn, that Odinism thing is just so ridiculous. They could have found a different way to explain the confessions. They could have found a different way to explain coercion than the actual guards there. Isn't that dumb? Maybe they were the only people with access to him. That's probably what it was. You can only blame the people who have access to him, who are coercing him.
Defense, bound by the gag order, through their motion, releases information to suppress and disqualify pieces of evidence. This information becomes part of the public record. And not only does it help Richard Allen in his defense, but it gives the public information they've been waiting for years.
The defense was willingly and graciously providing details of a crime that for 6 years has been a secret. And if it hasn't created a seismic shift yet, it will, and it should.
Nah. No.
In the fall of 2023, going on 7 years since the murders of Abby and Libby, defense attorneys for the accused killer, Richard Allen, suddenly bring up something in discovery that changes the conversation about his guilt. White power Odinists, ritualistic killings, and the possibility that other people might have been involved in the murders. And suddenly it's all anyone can talk about.
I don't know if any of this is true, but what I can say is that the defense has done a dang good job here.
It is fantastic PR. Now we're all talking about Odinism.
This is important because Richard Allen doesn't have any ties.
That's why I always loved Mr. Dr. Grande. I don't care if he's not a doctor. He's my doctor. No one could convince me different. I'm so glad he followed those other two ladies who made not so smart statements. The defense did a great job. They shat the bed twice.
Odinism.
If what the defense contends is correct, the case against Richard Allen is weak. This is a defendable case and a difficult case to prosecute. The confession could be explained, the bullet is compromised, the witness accounts are inconsistent, and not one witness can positively identify Richard Allen as being at the scene of the crime at the time the girls were killed. Maybe law enforcement should consider old information like they did when they reconsidered Richard Allen. The FBI thought Ron Logan was involved.
When I look at the bridge guy and watch him walk in that little clip, I see Ron Logan. That's all I can see. And a lot of that is due to the work of an FBI profiler, a forensic artist named Lois Gibson.
A woman that you could call the foremost expert in forensic art.
Are these guys sitting there like clipping his YouTube videos? Like why didn't they do this with somebody else? I really don't understand this shit. Kind of crazy. I agree, Silas. Quite honestly, he looks nothing like Ron Logan. I mean, if you see him from a distance with the coat and the jeans, yeah, but no. Snay's on the pay. Remember, David? Yeah. Does he still say Ron Logan is guilty, or is he just purely on the Richard Allen is innocent thing?
Says Ron Logan is the bridge guy. A and B both seem to be males of similar height. Both have similar hip to shoulder width ratios due to the general similarities of build and the...
Okay, so if that white thing under Bridge Guy's head is a damn goatee, then how the hell could they tell his height and his shoulder? They can't tell nothing from that pixelated mess. Chris, oh yeah, that's a reliable source right there. Imagine if law enforcement were that closed-minded when investigating. Crooks would get off all the time. Innocent people would be locked up. Oh my God, that would be such a nightmare. Such a good thing that we have real law enforcement people. Luis said the defense did do a great job at sensationalizing the case and making law enforcement appear incompetent. I agree with you there. Very sensational. Very, very, very sensational. Yeah. Will they do a side-by-side with Richard Allen on this show too? Man. Agree with you too, Silas. The judge did a great job protecting the case and the girls and Richard Allen's rights. Kanga says, I remember people doing side-by-side with a local man right at the beginning. It was compelling. Yeah. You could take any man side-by-side. Almost looks like it. Whoever's editing or making the picture, I could do that too. I could make myself look like him. Anthony says, I think Rick's wife left him over his obsession with the case. Not fact. More probable than not, though, right? Hey, you gotta watch out for your family and your friends before your obsession with Ron Logan.
And commonly large protruding belly shared by both A and B, it is a strong possibility that A and B are one and the same individual.
The biggest reason to suspect Ron Logan was not just that the bodies were found on his property, but that he had created a false alibi prior to the bodies being discovered. That's huge.
Ron Logan had the tropical fish run alibi 3 hours before anyone knew there was a crime committed.
The FBI also claimed that Ron Logan's cell phone pinged twice near the crime scene on the evening of the 13th.
If Ron Logan was drinking and driving at least 3 hours before the crime committed, it would make sense that his alibi went back that far. Honestly. The guy's on probation. Gets caught drinking, driving, he's going to jail. And that's what happened. It's kind of insane.
So that to me is very suspicious.
What could
I'll give
Ron
him that.
Logan have been doing
It is suspicious,
in the
but
woods
still.
near the crime scene when everyone else was looking for the girls near the bridge?
Maybe investigators never brought charges against Logan because they had no physical evidence tying him to the crime. The crime scene was apparently compromised. Police didn't search his property right away, and it seemed police were waiting on him to confess. Something they never could or will achieve since Ron Logan died of COVID in 2020.
It's too late for Ron Logan. He's dead. I mean, those answers, if he's responsible or was involved, went with him to the grave.
If you look at the evidence at the crime scene that we know about, one of the victims was found nude, which suggests a sexual motive. One of the other ones was dressed in another person's clothes, which suggests some thoughts about posing.
That is
All
so
those
weird.
to me are consistent with a sexually motivated crime. Ron Logan checks a lot of boxes. The history of violence, the criminal history, the alcohol problem, the lying, the deception, the fact that people who are close to him believe he's capable of doing it is very important to listen to. The overall evidence, the physical similarity between Bridge Guy is another pro. You cannot rule him out, certainly, as a suspect. And yet, I'm not convinced. I don't believe that Ron Logan stands up to the test of time in terms of being a viable suspect. I can't think of anybody who has started that kind of crime in their 70s. I would not take him completely off the board, but I would put him over to the side.
I like this lady. I like her. She was a good expert to interview.
As far as we know, there is no evidence that Kegan Kline was on the bridge on February 13th with Abby and Libby. Richard Allen, I don't know of any criminal history that he has. His age He would not be somebody I would expect to be engaging in this kind of behavior. If he was interested in children that are 12 or 13 years old, I would expect to find that somewhere. So I don't see Richard Allen as a viable suspect. There's no indication that he knew Libby and Abby. I wouldn't bet money on Kagan Klein, Ron Logan, or Richard Allen.
If he didn't know Abby and Libby, that's okay. He didn't have to, because he had a well-known habit of going to that very trail. You know, he was tuned up. He was very psychotic. I think the hardest part too is sometimes there isn't a good reason or a motive. Well, there's never a good reason, but sometimes there's never even a motive. Sometimes this nasty shit just happens. And when it does, people, they can't accept it.
I think it is very possible that the killer or killers are still out there.
This crime is unsolved. The lack of details has been traumatic because anytime you have an information vacuum, it's human nature that we want to fill in the gaps.
Every damn thing you've reported on your podcast has been a leak.
If I was the murderer, then come get me, mother.
If I knew something, I'd tell you.
Oh shit. I gotta rewind that for David. I wouldn't want to leave you without a Joe appearance. There you go. You like that? Everybody gets their 2 seconds of fame. That's insane to me.
Tell you.
The insults are frightening, as are the violence. I was scared for my life. People have physically threatened me. Here's one. Melvin is nothing but a snot-nosed rich bitch. Can someone shut this crazy person down? To which a response, yes, locked and loaded. The level of hatred, I've never seen so much evil in my life.
Yeah, nobody deserves death threats, of course. It's also something that's unacceptable. You should also not do this type of stuff online either.
Evil that was done to the girls, and evil we've done to each other. We're supposed to be
We are
focused on
Richard Allen.
finding the killer for these two young girls.
So crazy.
Libby and Abby. The worst thing that can happen to someone is to lose the child that's been murdered.
If you're that emotional about it, then you shouldn't say for a fact that someone's guilty or innocent and just let law enforcement handle it, I think. It's the truth.
I'm sorry, I just didn't think it was gonna affect me just talking through it, you know? Sorry about that.
Covering the story of a small town tearing itself apart over this double murder is heartbreaking in its own right. Now add to this a courtroom drama that is plaguing the case and the trial, potentially, of Richard Allen, the man accused of the murders.
A new hearing for Richard Allen, new attorneys, and a new trial date set by the special judge.
Yeah, that's the first thing that Anna told me when I talked to Anna, Abby's mom, is that Julie Melvin is a crazy bat. She told me that, so.
7 years have gone by and the case really has no closure. No one close to the case or close to the girls can speak out publicly because of the gag order over everything. However, previous to this, the families did speak publicly and to the media about their loss.
Abigail, the only granddaughter I had.
Oh.
but I would introduce her as my granddaughter, my best friend.
She should be here. She's supposed to be here. We're supposed to be getting ready for her freshman year of high school. I just miss all the things that she should be here for.
She could turn anybody's frown upside down. She could make anybody's bad day better. So the world got shortchanged. I did. Everybody did.
Donors built a ballpark to honor the girls, but there's still so many unanswered questions.
And the guy who threatened to blow it up made his way into this documentary for some reason. Such a ridiculous thing. I'm just gonna end it right there. I don't know why I went so far not to finish it. There was like 2 minutes left, but Jesus. It's been 3.5 hours. I can't even believe that it's been 3.5 hours that I've been on here. Guys, I had a great time. That was really fun. Thank you for sticking with me that long. Quite the documentary. Just really makes you realize how many people out there are doing this kind of stuff. It's crazy. It's insane. So yeah, it's pretty important that people do talk about this case and keep it alive, because there's got to be some voices of reason around here. Seems like there's less and less every day. Yeah. Watch the families tore them apart. People forget that. Before you defend a child killer, think of that. You know? No, very sad. Yeah. It's great to see you guys too, for sure. Really good. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so much, AJ, for gifting memberships. Geek Mom, AJ again, and Nick Hamilton. You guys' donations mean a lot to me. I'm not going to be able to stay on here and do streams if I don't get the donations. So I super appreciate that. I'm just going to keep on going. And hopefully within a month, we're going to be on track to be a successful YouTube chilling team. I think it'll be fine. So, all right, guys. I will see you soon. Have fun. And it's a little late now, but happy Easter. Forgot to tell you guys, happy Easter. See you later. Peace.
From war stories to experts and seats, I keep it chill while I peel back the heat. Truths in my tone, laid back in the zone. Outlaw vibes in a Wi-Fi home. I don't flex, I reflect and rewind. True crime tales with a mastermind. Mind from the Badlands where the wind cuts deep. I speak facts while the fake fall asleep. Clear. This is the realest, chillest vibe online. Don't hit stop, just pause in time. Like, share, sub, my good people ride. It's the real chill grass out well on the grind. Outlaw on the grind. This is the real chill grass. Badlands soul with that podcast jazz. I don't chase trends, I just set waves. Put respect on my name like an unmarked grave. Nicknamegraz. I talk it straight from the field to the screen. This ain't clickbait. No script reads, no suits, no mask. Just a mic in the past that I flip like facts. Psych style beats with a true crime feel and a voice too chill to ever not be real. They watch, they rewind, they vibe, they ride. I'm not just a host, I'm a state of mind. I don't break news, I break silence. I don't run ads, I run balance. The realest, chillest vibe online. Hit the like, show love in time. From the Badlands, outlaw on the grind. You watching real chill grass. Now press rewind. rewind.